Driving my zodiac animals around in a Honda. It's Between Nerds. Hi guys, my name is Drew Philip Elias. I am the co-host of Between Nerds podcast. I'm here with my other co-host, Mr. Aldo Mendez. What's up, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you very much. And today comes to us Rachel Yves Trejo.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. You've been helping us spread the word, spread the gospel in Twitter.
Miss Yves.
Yves, but thanks. I tried.
Ms. Rachel Yves Trejo. Just play it.
Here.
But thank you so much for your recommendations. You recommended Fruits Baskets 2019, correct?
Yes. Emotional roller coaster on this one. Just saying.
It was a roller coaster. I feel like I was in a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's really good. And anybody listening long term knows that I love some slice of life garbage. So this was like a nice little change of pace for me because I feel like we've just been watching straight shonen for the past 2 months.
Which is great.
Which is fine, but I wanted to cry on the inside a little bit.
Yeah, I did want to.
Which I got this week. But at the forefront of this episode, we do want to go over a couple things. At the end of this episode, during the Nerd Down, we will be going over the winner of our September giveaway. And
Hashtag Diabetic Nerds, which ended already.
Right. And we'll also tell you all how much we will be donating to the El Paso Diabetic Association Incorporated. But also at the beginning of this episode, we want to introduce you guys to our October giveaway and hashtag, which is what?
Hashtag Tits for Nerds. Hashtags Tits for Nerds. That is TITSFORNERD.
S.
S.
We will be donating to the Rio Grande Cancer Foundation. It's a good local foundation, and it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So please, everybody, please use hashtag Tits for Nerds. And by using hashtag Tits for Nerds, an original tweet or Instagram post, you can be entered into our October giveaway. We always get some cool nerd shit, and we mail it straight to your front door.
Yeah, you got Sakura at some point, right?
Hell yeah, I got Sakura.
Hell yeah,
Super
that's
happy
awesome.
about it. My girl.
Naruto sucks.
Sir.
I'm so glad Naruto died in the Boruto anime this past weekend. This shit's my
He didn't
favorite.
die. It was Kurama.
Kurama died. I got
there.
excited when I thought Naruto was going to die.
No.
Anyways, let's get into the body of this episode. We watched the 2019 anime reincarnation of a 2001 anime that is based off of a manga that was published between 1998 and like 2008, something ridiculous. 2006. It's like a full decade of publication. It was written as a light novel by Mr. Natsuki Takaya. What's Fruits Basket? Miss Raquel, please tell me in broad terms or in simple terms, whatever.
Just a girl, Toru Honda, who encounters two strange guys from school. Well, one strange guy from school while being homeless in her tent. And yeah, it turns out they turn into animals when they're hugged by the opposite sex.
Exactly. It's about a homeless girl trying to have a threesome with two handsome animals.
Yes. Like I'm watching Twilight all over again. But no, it's what is it for you, Drew? What was it for you? You said you have some close encounters with this anime back in the day.
Okay, so I'm a huge fucking dork, right? Like I've been a huge fucking nerd my whole life. Like extremely nearsighted. I can't breathe well. I'm an asthmatic. I have scoliosis. I have flat feet.
You have scoliosis?
Yes, bro. My back looks like a question mark. This shit's fucked.
Dryosis?
So for me, when I'm like in middle school, right? I'm in my pre-AP GT classes because I'm a fucking dork, right? I had this ginormous crush in the 7th grade on this girl that was obsessed with Fruits Basket.
Not Karen?
well Karen, when I was 12, was like 7, so no.
Oh, okay.
So no, Aldo. But so I pretended to give a shit about the Fruits Basket manga for like the better part of a school year.
Yes.
And I watched like the first episode, and I was like, wow, this is the sappiest, stupidest like anime. And this is the original reincarnation, back when it first came out in like 2001, 2002.
Okay.
Because this is the second go of trying to interpret this light novel publication into an anime form. And I remember at the time just thinking it was so mid. Like, even then, like, I was watching. I don't even know what I was watching, but I just remember like at the time just being like, why is it so corny? Why are there so many just still shots of these dudes' faces?
You weren't emotional mature to understand what you were watching.
I think also
your interest was that girl that you had the crush on.
Yeah. Like my I wasn't genuine with me trying to acclimate myself with it, right?
Correct.
But the thing that I've noticed about the TMS Entertainment publication of the anime is that the quality is up a lot more. Like, you even see still shots of, like, the manga and the light novel. Like, it looks really, like, undefined. It could have been, like, any generic manga written for young girls at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which we don't see a lot.
Which we don't see a lot. This might be the first anime that we've seen for this podcast that was specifically made for girls.
And this is why us girls love it.
No, it's
what do you like about it? Like, what's your favorite aspect of it?
Just the fact that, like, she's just a genuinely nice person.
Correct.
And she didn't expect anything in return with anybody, and she just grew loved.
Yeah.
Like, she grew a good friendship. She had a good family.
Yeah, and I guess
losing family.
The aspects that were like that stuck out for me was her current situation, what she was going through, and not only that, her meeting different people, which it's a big point in my life. Like, you meet different personalities all the time. You, Drew, have a distinct personality from Rachel. Rachel has a distinct personality from you. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has different personalities. And her character is very important to those different attitudes, character, moods and stuff, for them not to break apart almost.
Mm-hmm. And she's everybody's support system.
Exactly. I don't know. To me, that's what I connect to the most. This girl had just lost her mom in an accident. We don't know, as this story starts to unfold on episode 1, we don't know why she lost her mom. She's living in a tent in the forest because she doesn't want to live with her extended family, because she doesn't want to be a burden, because that's how now she is.
Which is fun, because she's like 15, like in episode 1. Like, she's literally living in a tent on the side of a mountain. She was living with her grandpa, but her grandpa's house is going to get renovated, so he goes and lives with one of his daughters. And this is like her dad's father, who she doesn't even really understand who her dad was, because he died from like fucking COVID when she was really young.
Like 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what we see from her is like she wishes like her mom's picture goodbye and like tries huffing it to school. And because she's in like this secluded part of the mountain, when she finds like a house with a bunch of like zodiac little animal shrine thingies. What even were they? Were they
just like little rock figurines that were painted?
Shrines? Yeah.
Like as a shrine. Yeah.
To the zodiac animals, and she meets like somebody in like a home kimono. And it's just this nice dude, and he's just like, "Hey, you weird fucking little girl,
what are you doing in the forest?
Yeah, what are you doing here?
What are you doing out in the woods?" And she's like, "I live out here." And him in his head, he's just like, "Well, that's a fucking lie, because my family owns like this whole chunk of the mountain."
Yeah, and it is. But for those of you who are not familiar with like this anime touches on the Chinese zodiac signs, correct?
Right.
Which, depending on what year you were born, you get an animal. According to what animal you are, you might have some personality traits according to that animal. So, sort of like, astrology and whatnot.
Yeah, but what I didn't even realize going into this anime was that we how much of a focal point that would actually be. I guess I never even, in my initial like revisit to it, I never even realized that it was these guys that were turning into animals. And I was like, why are girls always talking about how cute the rat is? What cat is so adorable? I'm so lost.
Who's that fucking cat we're talking about?
Yeah, what monkey?
It reminded me of Ranma and a Half.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. I like Ranma and a Half.
Same.
That's one of the first animes that I watched growing up.
In Spanish, though?
In Spanish, yeah.
Nope, can't relate.
Yeah, me watching it, not understanding anything, but I still watched it.
But so yeah, we meet our the what is it, the master, the head of the household of the Soma clan, which is a dog.
He's not the head.
He's not the head?
He's one of the oldest.
The dragon's
Oh, the
head.
oldest. Oh, that's right.
So we meet Shigure Soma, who owns the house that she stumbles upon, and then she sees like her roommate, who's like the hottest guy in school, right? His name's
Yuki Soma, yes.
And she's like, holy shit, like the handsome guy in school lives in this house and I accidentally like stumbled upon it. She's like, hey Yuki, I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna go to school by myself. Don't worry about it.
The student council president, right?
Yeah, the prince.
The prince?
He's not student council president yet.
Yes, but he will be, which is important.
But like
Japanese.
This guy has like a fan club of girls around him.
Groupies, someone might call it.
Right. So like Yuki and Honda walked to school that day because she just like showed up at his house, and she almost gets jumped at school by this fan club of girls that has like crushes on Yuki. Why'd you show up to school with the prince? What are you fucking planning? Yuki's ours. You can't.
She's getting stuck at the fucking school
Like,
just for knowing him.
She's in a corner surrounded by these girls, and they're totally about to jump her because she's just hanging out with Yuki.
She's just so innocent. She has no idea what's going on.
She's just trying to be like a nice person. And at this point, like in the first episodes, to me, we've talked about this before, and I don't know if you listened to the episodes that we talked about this, but like when nerds connect so much to a protagonist and they're like, yeah, that's me. I'm super cool, but like I'm super silent. Once a girl gets to know me, like it seemed to me, it seems like the other side of the coin. Like, and it kind of irritated me at first because I feel like
no one acts like that.
It was getting me angry because I'm like, okay, it's a female protagonist, and you're just gonna make her depend on the male storytelling,
right?
Kind of, you know what I'm saying? But which is not towards the end.
Yeah.
But at first, I was like, oh man, really? They're just making this girl seem so into this guy that she changes like her entire life for.
Yeah, if you wanted to like trigger some people and like oversimplify it, which in no way would be genuine in describing it, you could be like, oh, if I'm a girl and I just act really sweet and I help around the house and I cook for everybody, then everyone's gonna love me, right?
Love me, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, if you didn't actually pay attention, you could take and internalize in that like that lesson, but that's not what it's trying to tell you. Because what you were trying to describe, Aldo, at a certain point, you learn that like she's had a traumatic fucking life. Like she not to sound insensitive, she's damaged as fuck. Like she needs a therapist.
Like she can be a bitch, and she has a reason to, but she's not.
Exactly. Right. And on one episode, it's brought up to one of her close friends that we still don't get to meet, like, in this first episodes, but one of her friends, I believe, is the Saki Hanijama, right? The witch, quote-unquote witch.
Oh, the one with the brainwaves?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, she even mentions, like, look at her. She's worried, yet she's acting happy when she doesn't have to. That's a sign of somebody that has learned to deal with their emotions.
With their trauma and stuff.
It's so crazy. Like you said, it's a roller coaster of fucking craziness.
Like, she's like 14, 15 years old, and she's expected to have like the maturity of... Like, she has a maturity level that nobody in this room even has.
Yeah, like, how do you have your shit together at 15? Like, remember when you were 15, did you have your shit together? No.
She's working a part-time job just to pay her bills so that she can still go to school.
Yeah, and living up the tent.
and that's something we haven't even talked about in a while about, like, the Japanese education system. Because, like, there's public education, but there's also, like, schools you can test into that have tuition payments. Mm-hmm. As you being, like, a high school student. Like, imagine if, like, I tested into, like, the best high school in town, and they were like, hey...
Where's that $200?
Drew's parents? Yeah, where's my $1,000 a month?
Yeah.
And this girl, she's not bright either. Like, they kind of say that outright, that, like, she's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
But she's determined.
Yeah, she's really
determined. Yes, very, very.
Like, I've probably met one or two people like that before, that, especially when I was an undergrad, that were not, like, the most gifted person in the room.
But they put in the work.
But they put in the fucking work, which is exactly Honda. Like, she just has, like, every great personality trait ever just in one character.
And one little tiny character.
And it gets worse for her, because it's like, we're getting all this setup. It's like she doesn't have a mom, she doesn't have a dad. Like her grandpa just abandoned her to go live with his extended family. And that night, the end of episode 1, there's a landslide on her tent on the side of the mountain. And she's just like distraught, and she goes into like a panicked shock almost. Like she's
thinking about her mom, she's thinking about school.
She's having a panic attack. And it's just like, dude, like the only thing I valued left was this picture I had of my mom in my tent. And it's under like 2 tons of rock
and wet sand and shit. Yep. It is crazy. And then at this point, the Soma clan is who takes them in. Who takes her in, right?
Right. Because that night, like, she's having her panic shock or whatever. Yuki puts her to sleep. He's just like, hey, you worrying about shit right now isn't going to do anything. We'll deal with it in the morning. And then he looks at, like, his uncle, cousin person, Shigure, and he's just like, wink, wink, wink. I'm going to go outside and take care of this. And we don't entirely know at the end of episode 1 what's going on. But, like, by the next morning, the debris is cleared, the tent's been taken out.
And the picture of her mom's perfectly fine.
Right. He took everything of value out, and somehow he's just like, hey, I dug all night. Miss Honda, here's your stuff. I know you were looking forward to it. And that's, like, the big lead-in to season 1. It's just like, what really is the Soma secret? Who really is Yuki? No. To be continued.
Who is this? Who are these guys I'm living with?
And something that, like, I'm glad that you brought up about how it's like the opposite coin of, like, it's totally the opposite of a shonen, which shonen literally translates like 4 boys. Because here it's just like there's lots of like directing screenshots that like would only make sense if it's made for girls, because it's like a lot of panned out shots about the dudes. It's a lot of like sharp line work that only consists with like the male characters.
It'll be a shoujo.
Shoujo, thank you.
Yes,
I knew there was a
like
word
the
for
girl
it.
perspective on it.
So instead of a shonen, yeah, it will be a shoujo.
Makes sense. Okay.
So it's a fucking cartoon. I don't know. Like it wants you to know that like these dudes are supposed to be hot, right?
And they're so pensive and...
Yeah. They're all brooding and pensive, and they all have these personality traits that they need Honda to fix, and like...
and they got the most, like, cream cheese smooth voice actors for the dub.
Everybody's like,
yeah, what's up, girl?
Oh, what's up, Miss Honda? Oh, I was just standing around being handsome. Don't mind me.
Don't mind me looking handsome over here.
I was just minding my business being handsome. Did you need some help?
Yeah, dude, like, that's the shit that makes you laugh. Throughout the whole fucking anime.
But, like, it's great in the point that, like, I would shit on something that bad if it was a shonen too. That would, because, like, we've seen shonen that's just tits for no reason. It's just like, hey, you're a dude watching some fighting. You want to see some tits?
Here we go.
Enjoy that.
Here's some 2D tits.
Yeah.
And
there was no bulges in this anime or anything like that.
Nothing even close to it.
Yeah, nothing even close. It was just some broody, handsome guys.
What the fuck?
But we still enjoy it.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's so hilarious. Like, the difference in, like, directing styles that has to go into this. But, like, I guess, like, if that's the point of a shoujo,
The demographic.
they did it right.
Yeah,
you know what I
correct.
mean? I would imagine that that's, like, correct.
Yeah, I would imagine it's correct as well, dude. Because it is one of the aspects that make me laugh the most, because it stays on throughout the whole season. Like, the broodiness, the handsomeness, the smoothness. Oh, dude. Crazy.
The female fan service is always at not even female fan service. I'm sorry, that's ignorant. But, like, the fan service is there.
Yeah.
Like, if this is the type of fan service that you're about, like, it stays there all 25 episodes of season 1.
Rachel, fuck, kill, or marry? Who you got?
The prince, marry that boy.
Marry that
He
boy.
would make you feel just like a princess.
Yuki, okay.
Kyo, my man.
What's Kyo
What's
then?
Kyo?
I don't know, cause Shigure. Wait, is it them 3 or them 2?
All of them.
All of them. From everybody in the season, fuck, kill, and marry. You said marry Yuki.
Oh, no, I'd marry Kyo.
Marry Kyo. That's
I'd
good.
fuck Yuki just because I'm like, you know what? It's going to be the best when I saw in my life. He's going to make me feel so
I'm going to
important.
wake up in a fancy hotel.
I just need to know.
And who would
Now
you
I'm just
kill?
like really like... Oh.
Who would you kill?
The dragon.
No, because even then, he's like baby daddy material. Like,
What? That's so abusive.
I don't care. He's so
There's-
nice, though, to a certain point.
For context for the audience, the head of the Soma household is the dragon zodiac, and he's literally abusive. Like
No, that's Akeno.
Oh.
No, the dragon is the doctor.
Yeah,
What? He was the dragon?
Hattori,
Yes,
right?
yes, Hattori. Yeah, he's
That
a seahorse.
that wasn't explicit in season 1.
Yes, it shows it in season 1, where she hugs him.
Yeah,
Like,
because
he
the
trips on
dragon
trees.
Oh, because he was a seahorse.
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay, hold
No,
on.
Akeno's no part in this whatsoever.
We need to explain this to the audience because I'm confusing myself on this one.
You confused me at the beginning. I thought I was wrong.
Because, so in episode 1, the only thing that we haven't talked about is the actual story of the Chinese zodiac, which I didn't know that there was an actual story about it either.
Me neither.
Like, it's about all these animals going to a dinner,
A banquet.
and the rat tricks the cat into not going because the rat's a trickster? Or the cat's a trickster? The rat's a trickster.
The rat.
The rat is, a trickster.
And tells the cat the wrong date so he doesn't show up. And then the rat rides the bull,
The cow.
the cow, to go to the banquet. And that's all we know about the story so far.
Correct.
But that story is actually significant because in the Soma household, they will ostracize the cat because in the Chinese zodiac story, the cat doesn't
It's
get
lazy.
to participate.
The dinner, so sad.
So we meet Kyo. No, Kyo.
Kyo's
Right?
the cat, and then Yuki's the rat.
Right. By episode 2, we meet Kyo.
Yes. Mhm.
Who's the cat reincarnation.
The first cat boy that I ever seen.
They might as well put some fucking ears on him.
They did.
They do. Wait, oh my god.
Yeah, they do.
So the end of episode 1, Sugure and Yuki are like, you know what, Miss Honda, you're basically fucking homeless. You're a nice lady.
So just live with us.
Just live with us. You could cook for us. You could clean with us, and at least you're not living on the side of a mountain and your tent doesn't even exist anymore.
And Miss Honda just trying to repay all what she's, all the favors that she's gotten. She just wants to cook, clean, be nice to them. You know what I'm
and it's
saying?
a house of dudes. Like at a certain point, like my undergrad, the apartment I had when I was in undergrad, like it was 4 dudes in this itty bitty little tiny living space, right?
Mm-hmm. Smell like
disgusting.
asshole. Correct.
Disgusting. Like literally the worst place you could be in the whole fucking city of Lubbock, right?
Correct.
And at the end of episode 1, like Shigure like unveils his little. It's an old school Japanese house, so they have partitions.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Paper
not
partitions.
not actual doors. He opens the partition to the kitchen. It's just like filled with
mess.
garbage bags and shit,
Yeah, it's
and
just
just
a
dirty
typical-
dishes. And I'm just like, okay, that sounds right.
Yeah, I remember now.
that sounds accurate.
He'll take it out tonight. Leave him alone.
Sure had. It was a place to live.
Stop nagging him. He wants to play Apex. Leave him alone. And she's just like, you know what? I can clean up after you. That's fine. Like as long as I get a roof. And the beginning of episode 2, she's just living in the house. And then out comes Kyo from the fucking ceiling. He's just like, I heard there was a fucking girl in this house. Who's trying to get their ass kicked?
How did the rat trick her into living here, motherfucker?
It wasn't even that,
No,
though.
I
He
know.
just went. He didn't hear about Honda living there. It was
Until
just
he got there.
him
Yeah.
trying to fight Yuki.
He just wants to kick his cousin's ass.
Yeah,
For some reason.
for-
He was training
For the past
in the
4 months.
mountain.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the cat, this super destructive red-haired motherfucker, just busts through the ceiling. He's like, "Where's Yuki? He needs an ass kicking at 8 a.m."
When you're just trying to go to school.
So, and what we haven't described either is that the gimmick here is that they are the zodiac animals, but they only turn into their zodiac animal if they're hugged by a person of the opposite sex that is not a part of the zodiac clan. So. Honda figured that out in episode 1 because she accidentally hugged or like ran into Yuki and he turned into like a little fucking gray rat.
And she's like, oh my god.
She's like, that's the cutest thing ever.
He's so cute. Which like rats are disgusting. I was literally at Petco like Saturday and like their tails are gross and they're long and slimy and I don't know. But so then Shigure is the dog. And so right here when Kyo busts through the ceiling, she's trying to like stop Kyo from beating Yuki's ass, even though Yuki always beats Kyo's ass, so that's like the running joke here. She accidentally runs into him and he turns into a cat, like this little orange little fucking cat.
And they lose their clothes. And that's almost fan servicey in a way.
It is. It isn't. It isn't. Like it makes sense canonically because it's like the clothes wouldn't change with them. Correct. Like it's the person that has the curse.
It doesn't show anything, so it's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Little cat testicles.
No, when they turn back.
When they turn back. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, when they turn back.
Oh, I was like, Jesus Christ! There's 200% less cat testicles than this show needs. So she like turns him into a cat on accident, and he's just pissed because he's this little fucking 2-inch tall fucking cat.
And he's super aggro, so him being called cute or anybody being called cute is like, no, you're not supposed to call a man cute.
I'm the big, mean, terrible cat.
Yeah.
Please don't call me cute. And she's just like squeezing him, just like, oh, it's a little fucking kitty. And it takes like a period of time for them to like unchange from the animal. It's only like 10 minutes or something like that.
It just depends on like, I guess, the mood and how they're feeling.
Yeah, because they can also turn into their animals just from stress.
Yeah.
Like later on there's an episode where like one of them's just out in the cold and just turns into their animal because
like
they're
the snake.
It's like physical trauma. It's that physical kind of like stress. So Kyo becomes part of the family, and Kyo, there's a piece of dialogue like in episode 1 where Honda's describing how she feels worse for the cat in the story, where she sees Shigode's little zodiac animals in front of the house, and she's like, "Oh, that's so cute," but I've always felt terrible about the cat because he never got invited to the dinner or whatever. And Shigode, like in the back of his head, he's like, "Oh well, it's ironic that you say that, little miss."
Because there's a lot of tension here.
There's a lot of animosity about the cat around here. Yeah. That motherfucker's hated, and he's kind of Kyo's kind of ostracized from the rest of the Soma family.
Yeah.
And he was living with his kung fu master out in the mountains, but the head of the Soma household is kind of like, you know what, take him. Like, maybe this would be good for him, because it's like the family secret, so Honda even knowing about it is kind of a big deal.
It's just jeopardizing everybody's, I guess, lives at this point.
Because he even feels embarrassed by being tricked by Yuki, the rat, into not going. Mm-hmm. And that's the animosity that he has. Like, you made me feel so stupid. You made me feel so unwanted and shit. And he just wants to beat his ass. But it never happens.
Like, he just wants a part in this actual family.
Mm-hmm. Which is not a family. And that's what me and Drew were talking about it before you got here off the mic. That at first he's like, well, it's weird because cousins love each other. Like the character of Soma. Hatsuharu?
Hatsuharu, yeah.
Hatsuharu, he's kind of like, gender fluid and stuff.
Yeah, where he loves Yuki.
Yeah,
he's sexually fluid. He's not gender fluid.
I mean, not gender fluid, sexually fluid.
Right.
And he loves Yuki. Like
he loves Yuki.
Yeah, that was his first love.
So he's like, it's kind of weird that cousins love each other. I'm like, I don't think so, because in the dialogue, the way the dialogue presents it is like, it's a Soma clan, and from what I understand from playing the Ghost of Tsushima, and my knowledge,
you were gonna say that,
and my knowledge of Japanese clanage or clans and different clans, it's not that you're directly related to the last name, but you have a loyalty to them.
It's like how you can have different family off branches from the main family. So like you hear that dialogue too, where it's like, oh, he's from the main Soma household. Oh, he's from outside the main clansman. It's like how in Naruto, Hinata and Neji were technically distant cousins. Mm-hmm. Right? So it wouldn't...
No, because they were first cousins.
Oh, they were first cousins? Oh, that's a bad example.
Their dads were brothers.
Okay, their dads were brothers. Example. That is a bad... But it's like...
So it's more like Naruto and the other redhead who was also an Uzumaki.
The guy with the...
It's like
the girl that would bite... the one that was with Sasuke all the time.
Oh.
It's like a cousin of a cousin of a cousin, which, like, technically you have the same, like...
Just having
family
a last
tree,
name.
but not...
Right.
Not genetic print anywhere.
It's not a first cousin. It's not a second cousin. You share a last name, but, like, it's a cousin of a cousin of a cousin. So I guess it's not weird.
Yeah.
It's no incest.
It's a little incest.
It's just a little.
But he wasn't in love with Yuki.
Just a tad.
I'm sorry, what?
I was like, Hattori wasn't in love with Yuki. That's what we were going to
Yeah. And Hattori wasn't in love?
Yeah, like he says he loved them and that was his first love, but it was more of a respect, but like a respectful.
Oh yeah.
Love?
Yeah, he had like a crush, like super crush, and then he realized it was just a crush to his
Would you even call that?
distant cousin. I mean, yeah, he
don't
did
know.
say like he was grabbing him. Like,
do you mean Hatsuharu or Hattori?
Well, Hattori's the cow.
No, Hatsuharu's the
Okay,
cow.
Haru then. Sorry,
Okay.
Haru.
Yeah, Haru. Anyways, we're talking characters that we haven't introduced yet.
correct.
So like, Kyo becomes part of the family, and he's got this animosity with his cousin Yuki, or his distant cousin, whatever the fuck we're calling them. With Yuki, we're like, he literally loses in kung fu fights every single day. Because we get flashbacks about talking about Yuki being the rat. It's like, holy shit, like, he's gonna be the rat. That means he's gonna be super gifted. Rat children always end up being like the smartest, most talented fucking kid ever. But we kind of see early on that Yuki's got like some trauma in and of itself. Like we start, there's no context in the beginning, but there's a lot of flashbacks of him alone in an empty room. And Kyo's just out, like, living his best life.
Because he's excluded. He's not even in the family, even though he does have the family name. But the cat's always neglected.
Right. Like, on purpose. Just because of this fucking story. Which maybe it's brought up more in season 2 and 3, but in season 1, I'm like, holy shit, that's mean. Like, maybe it has an explanation, like in episode 25 of season 1, but it's like, what was that really enough of a reason to ostracize a literal child, like a 4 or 5-year-old, from his whole family?
Not really, but I mean, they did want to touch heavily on the Chinese zodiac at the beginning, where towards the end it starts diluting a little bit.
But it does give like a base on like why the cat and the rat always have a feud going on because he was tricked by the
The
rat.
only explanation to that will be the zodiac, the Chinese zodiac.
And around here is where they start explaining like more of what it means to be a member of the Zodiac. Is that like you also have like power to communicate with your animal, which is how Yuki got Honda's stuff out of the landslide, because he recruited all the rats on the mountain to dig out all her shit. And Kyo can do a lot of the same thing, and this is where we start seeing like their personality traits as the animal too, because Kyo likes to hang out on roofs. In the intro fucking OP, he's just sleeping on a tree like a cat.
I like it.
Yeah.
Which it's funny because like every cat I've owned has always been like really lazy and laid back, almost how I imagine Yuki. But you've seen those cats before that are just like all over the place and super angry, and they're gonna slash your fucking face and
they're asleep 1 minute.
yeah, and they're asleep the next second. And that's who Kyo is like as a person. Like throughout the whole anime, Yuki's kind of like making fun of him. He's like, dude, why are you such a spaz? Can you stop raging for like 5 fucking seconds?
Like, we're
Just
trying to
start
hang
breaking
out.
out.
Like, nah, fuck that. Fuck you, Yuki. Why do you exist, pussy? Come catch these hands, nerd.
And from here, we start seeing like a couple of days like at school with Yuki and Kyo.
Kyo joins the school.
Kyo joins at school, correct? And I mean, again, Taru getting all the attention from all the girls, like, why you fucking hanging out there? And even her 2 close friends that they get introduced here, right? In this episodes, it's Otani and Hanajima.
So Hanajima's the brain girl wave, and then Uotani's the blonde girl.
Quote unquote, the witch. But
Bruja.
La Bruja, and then we have like the super criminal Japanese girl. the
Right.
blonde girl.
So we go from like having like a fucking Japanese chola as a best friend to having like a witch bitch as a best friend. And it's like, for me, it's kind of cool because Honda is like, she's a gem, you know what I mean? Like, she's such a good person, like everyone kind of needs to protect her. So it's like, you extinguish this light, we're gonna fuck you up. Like
her having like 2 friends that are in 2 different spectrums of like this like of all these different personalities in this show. It's cool to see.
Like, she's just so sacred to them.
Correct. And even Yuki and Kyo are like, that those are your friends? It's like, that's so weird. What are these prudy, what is this prudy girl and broody girl and this like intimidating looking girl your friends? But later on we get into that. But yeah, we get introduced to those. Then we get introduced to the pig, the girl.
the boar.
Kaguya.
The boar, Kaguya? That's her name? Oh yeah, that is her
No,
name.
Kaguya?
Kaguya. Yeah, Kaguya. She's in love with
Kyo.
Kyo.
Kagura.
Kagura? Oh yeah, Kagura.
With the R?
Yeah, with an R. So, like, Kaguda is, like, kind of funny because just based off the dialogue, and it's just, it's kind of like, this anime is kind of like a harem, but it's not a harem, but it is a harem. It's like, who's she going to end up with, but who is she not going to end up with kind of thing. And the thing about Kyo is he's kind of spoken for because he's got this cousin, like we're trying to describe, like a member of the Soma family, Kaguda, who is just like madly in love with Kyo. And because she's like the boar, she's freakishly strong. And like when she's introduced, she's breaking doors. She's destroying partitions.
Emotionally driven.
She's just like split personalities.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like literally like the very simple textbook definition of bipolar. Like she'll be speaking to you super sweet one second, the very next second she's like, Kyo, you motherfucking stifling bitch, like how dare you? And she's just like, and you see that early on in the OP because it's like each animal is like bouncing around doing their own thing. You see the rat, but then you see the cat like walking around doing his own thing, and the boar is just like squeezing the cat
him.
to death.
Yeah.
And that's how Kaguda is with Kyo here, because she's a year older or 2 years older, something like that. She's slightly older than Kyo, but she'll like go apeshit if she even sees Kyo talking to another girl. And that's like one of the focuses of an entire episode is Kyo's living with Honda in this house. And Kaguda shows up and she's like, hey, Kyo, I heard you hadn't been at the estate in 4 months. What the fuck have you been doing? And then sees this girl and just starts destroying everything.
Yeah, and beats the shit out of Kyo like outside. And you said he's breaking the what is it called? The separator?
Partition.
The partition, sliding doors. The dog, Shigure, he gets all sad because he's the dog. He's the dog, so he's very calm. He's an old man dog.
You know what I mean?
Old man dog. Yeah, exactly. He's just like, fuck, you broke that shit again? Well, I guess let's fix it. You have to fix it. But he's not making a big deal about anything.
He's not a puppy.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's here when I really started to get the whole Zodiac thing and the personalities and the way this anime was going to go. Because now you have Kaguda beating the shit out of Kyo, and at the same time, just worrying about him as she's beating him up. Yeah. And now, when she gets a break from beating him up, she realizes that Toru's there.
Right.
It's like, why is Toru here? You shouldn't be here. Why are you here? I don't want you here. I don't want you talking to him. And again, like any other boy in anime, Kyo is like, I don't love you. I don't want you here. Get away from me. Like,
Which, like, it's kind of sad because it's so clear throughout all of season 1 that Kyo has this ginormous crush on Honda. Like, maybe more than Yuki likes Honda.
I think so.
You know what I mean?
It just
like,
builds out more than Yuki's.
Yeah, maybe it's the personality difference, too. Yeah. Like, he can't contain himself. Like, he's just so fucking, like, in love with Honda. But he's kind of spoken for, you know what I mean? The whole family, the whole Zodiac lineage has like an understanding that it's like, no, dude, like you're gonna end up with the boar. You're gonna end up with Kaguda. Like you can't fall in love with anybody else, which is like that much more of like it's a tiny bit of spice, and it reminds me a lot of like our February discussions when we were discussing domestic girlfriend, rent a girlfriend, and all that shit. And it's like they finally like, here's some paprika. Like we're not gonna give you any real fucking spice,
yeah.
but here's a little bit. Yeah. And I'm just like, ooh, that felt nice. Can I have some more? No, not yet. You can't have it. And so I'm watching like the rest of the season and being like, where the fuck's the spice? Where's the fucking spice? I need a cat fight. I need something.
And it's and now Toru is seen like a disturbance in
the forest.
You know, yeah, disturbance in the forest, really, because now like this girl's like, no, you shouldn't. It seems like you shouldn't be interfering with what the Zodiac curse people are going through. Almost
like I'm a girl, you're a guy, and we can hug and whatnot. Like we're meant to be together forever.
And the hugging, I believe that's like a little bit kind of sexual context, right? Like a little touchy thing about it, right?
Well, that's the most they can do.
Well, exactly, but like them being turned to their respective zodiac sign or respective zodiac animal by them hugging is supposed to be
like an Oh, I see.
You know what I'm
like
saying?
Them getting excited
Exactly,
about something.
exactly.
What?
I didn't even think about it until now.
Oh my god, I didn't get that metaphor at all, bro.
I don't know though, because there's times when it's just like a surprise where she just falls on somebody.
Because we see Kagura hug Kyo and that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but it's because she's part of the Zodiac. She explains it.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
she was like, I don't know why we can hug.
You
but
took
we're
it
the
as a
Zodiac.
metaphor for like you getting
like
not getting
little boy
excited, but an emotional burst of feelings.
I got you,
Yeah.
and that turns you into a cat.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense though. Well, because the same season when she actually speaks Yuki's name, calls him Yuki, he transforms because he gets
Correct.
excited.
Instead of calling him Sora. Yeah.
So smart.
Around the same time too, before we get too stuck up on that point, we're introduced to like 2 other members of the Zodiac at the exact same time.
To Momoji and
Right.
Haru.
We're introduced to the bunny and the dragon,
And
I
the
fucking
ox.
guess
Oh.
at the same fucking time, because the main 3 cast of characters here, Kyo, Yuki, and Honda, are in high school, right? Like it's fucking anime. Like of course they're in high school. So they have a culture festival because it's fucking Japanese high school. So of course they have a cultural festival, and randomly 2 people show up and they're like, who the fuck are these guys? It's somebody that looks like a literal toddler, but like with the mannerisms of a girl, just jumping up and down like, oh, I want to see your rice ball stand. I want to jump around and do this and do that.
Want to hear my song?
You want to hear my song?
Yeah.
No,
Hey,
but he's introduced before that.
How was he
Momoji,
introduced?
When she's
Remind me.
cleaning. And he's like the little foreign boy. He's like,
Oh,
you're Toru. Yeah,
Oh, 'cause
his
she works
little,
at a hotel.
German, Yeah, his little German accent. Like, oh, you're Toru or whatever the hell.
which is so ignorant because that pissed me off the most about him because. The thing about Momoji is
He's
because
a
he's
little
half
German
he's,
kid,
yes,
yeah,
he's
half
half
German,
German, half Japanese, and they give him a German accent. Kids get their accents from their peers, not their parents.
Correct.
Which is so stupid because he was raised in Japan.
From their
Yeah.
environments.
Right, he would have a Japanese accent. He would not have a German fucking
Not
accent.
here, Drew. Not here. He speaks like this, yeah.
That
Yeah, he
shit
does.
triggered me the whole anime. Every scene he's in, I'm like, that's not fucking right.
I thought he was kind of cute.
He
yeah.
doesn't even know his German mother.
Exactly.
He does not even have a
He
relationship.
does know her.
He
but
knows
she
her.
doesn't know him anymore.
He does not have a relationship with his German parent. He
Right.
would not have that fucking accent. I doubt he even knows German.
Yeah, because her mom is German.
Hey,
Right.
It's about representation, yeah.
Ignorant. So ignorant. I'm just like, what? It's because, like, certain anime and, like, Japanese films, there's, like, a slight hint of, like, not racism, but, like, prejudice. Bigotry.
Bigotry, that's what I was
Bigotry, like, a little bit. Like, it's not progressive, but it's not super ignorant.
Ignorant
Like, they're not
bigotry.
calling him a fucking Nazi or anything. You know what I
he's
mean?
not fucking.
He's not Hail Hitlering that bitch.
Yeah.
Like he's not saluting anybody. But there's little pieces of just like ignorance just spread around this that I want to pick apart. And Momoji was like the first point that I was like, that's not fucking right.
I didn't even think of that though. I totally forgot that he wasn't raised by either of his parents.
No, it doesn't make. He was raised by his uncle, who's the dragon, who's a doctor, who only has one eye.
By the way, everybody in Germany, we love you. For our listeners in Germany, we love you.
It's like a third like most downloaded country for some fucking
I know,
reason.
I see it
Wait,
all the time. That's amazing.
I have no fucking idea how or why, but I got your back, Germany.
Hey, yeah, I think it's about representation, guys. So, woo!
I got your fucking back. I will pick apart this anime forever for being ignorant to Germans. And so you're right. So Honda's part-time job that we talked about briefly in episode 1 that she uses to pay her tuition and all that. And
She's housekeeping at a hotel.
She's housekeeping at a hotel. And there's like this well-dressed fucking German toddler that shows up one day. He's like, "Oh yeah, you wanna butter my biscuit? Yeah."
almost like in a yodeling outfit.
Yes, bro!
yes.
They give him overalls, and it's just like,
And he has like bougie ass sunglasses, so he looks like a
Yeah.
little girl.
Yeah, but
Like,
he's
super
like,
cute.
he's owning it though. He's like, yeah, I'm here. You want to hear my song? Yeah, he's just having a blast. And for me, I'm having a blast seeing it too. Like I didn't really pick it like that much like you did because he was having fun. I'm having fun. Everybody's having fun. You know what I'm saying?
I guess if he's not
You're not
offended, I'm
having
not
fun, though.
offended. If he's not offended, I'm not offended. I'm all Mendes.
Exactly.
But so yeah, it's a prelude to when she meets him again later at the culture festival, because her classmates are Kyo and Yuki. So they're hosting this rice ball stand together at the culture festival, and here comes the same little German fucking kid and this brooding 20-something-year-old doctor that's like trailing behind him, and they kind of like, what's his name? The doctor, the dragon, Mr. Hattori.
Hattori.
Hattori. He's kind of like harassing Honda at first. He's like, I heard you're the girl that's been living with these boys. Are you really Miss Honda? She's like, yes, I'm Miss Honda.
He's just so intimidating. Like,
he's kind of a dick. Well, at first.
Yeah, completely. And she's just like the sweetest little thing ever. And like, just him talking to her.
I'm homeless. And
yeah, like, oh my God. Yeah, like.
They were nice to me because I'm homeless and don't have a house.
And that's why I live there.
Yeah.
Please don't kick me out. I'm not fucking any of them. I swear to God.
And just Yuki just like questioning everything. Yuki looks over, making sure Toru's okay. Honda.
Well, Yuki's not gonna let anybody harass his girl.
Exactly. He's just like, that's my baby girl, you know? And the doctor's there to just check up on Yuki because apparently that boy ain't right. Mm-hmm. He's sick.
Well, it's also because he's the rat too, and we saw that like the family like values the rat like a lot. So they're like, who the fuck is the girl harassing the rat? And why haven't her memory's been erased? That becomes like a big thing the next like couple episodes after Hattori is introduced. It's like...
Just because that's what he's done in the past. He erased his memories.
Mm-hmm. Every time anybody else has learned about the Soma
secret.
family secret, they've gotten their memories erased. Like... What's the surgery where they used to like poke a hole in your
lobotomy?
They used to fucking lobotomize people to erase their memories.
Horrible. Through your eye.
No, it's through your nose. You get a big old 9-inch nail through your nose.
Oh, I saw Sucker Punch, and that's what I saw.
Yeah.
Through her eye.
Crazy stuff.
Disgusting. Anyways, so Momoji and Hattori are at the school festival talking to Honda, and then of course like Yuki and Kyo are like, yo, get the fuck away from her, dude. Like, we're not gonna let you beat up Honda, especially not here. But then, like, Momoji, because he's such, like, a sweet kid, like, he kind of takes, like, Honda behind like a
curtain.
A curtain, thank you. On the other side of their little rice stand, and he's just talking to her. He's just like, yo, just so you know, I'm totally a member of the Zodiac family too. I'm a Soma. I know I didn't introduce myself properly.
So you know our secret.
I'm super excited to be talking to you. I never got to get to talk to a girl like this. And like, he just kind of like...
He's like, so hug me, bro. Like,
yeah, he tosses himself in her arms, and she's like, what the fuck? I'm not supposed to do this. You're gonna get naked. And he just turns into like this like little fucking 2-inch bunny. Like, he's like this... 1.5 foot tall golden bunny,
and this behind curtains, like
right
at the little festival at school that they have.
But the funny thing is, like, when obviously, well, not obviously, but when you transform, you see
like
powder and stuff.
Yuki's dressed as a
girl.
Yeah,
that too.
Yeah.
So, that's just drawing attention.
Yeah, because at the beginning of because they have, I mean, we've seen this in multiple animes. They have like a noodle maid classroom setup, and everybody's dressed like a little maid, or they're doing a certain thing, because Japanese are obsessed with maid outfits.
Yeah.
And Yuki gets put into this outfit, and Yuki, throughout this whole anime, he's a beautiful man. He's so beautiful that if you put him in girl's clothes, he could be a girl.
That even men question their sexuality.
Correct. He's like, God damn, that's a good-looking motherfucker. You know?
Which is hilarious, because at a certain point, I think the class president or somebody sees Yuki like this, and he's just like, dude, just don't look at me.
There was like a scene where like a guy straight up just has a nosebleed.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as Yuki, like, he's in his dress and he's like, oh, I'm Yuki or something, and like there's like a scene where it's just girls and like 2 guys have nosebleeds.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's hilarious. But Yuki, he knows about his handsomeness. He knows he's good looking. But when put in this situation, I don't know, it might have to do with the personality of the rat, but he's a little bit not insecure, but he's a little bit uncomfortable with the stares that he's getting.
Completely.
And he doesn't want to be sexualized.
Correct. He doesn't want to be sexualized. So what you're talking about, Drew, when Momoji is hugging Toru on the back, and you hear because it's always a poof with a transformation,
dust and smoke and all that,
glitter and rainbows and everything, and he turns into a bunny. He's like, "Oh my gosh, he's so cute!" But holy shit, we're right in the class. We need a distraction. So Yuki is like, "Everybody, look at me!" He even poses, and he's like, "Yeah," and everybody's like, "Oh shit,
he's so handsome! Oh
yeah, so
beautiful!" And that's what makes the distractions great. Fucking plot point. And again, at this point, like,
it's so funny because I feel like if this was the other way around, like if this was a shonen with like a woman doing that, I'd be like, boo,
Yeah,
like fucking
boo,
boo. That's
yeah.
so cheap. Like, shut the fuck up.
Absolutely.
Nobody wants to see that. Get out of here.
Absolutely. And right now when you were talking about Momoji saying, "Oh my god, you know what her secrets already," and introduce myself, I'm so excited to talk to you.
He was very excited. He loves Toru.
It connected points to me in the storytelling because it seems like the members of the Soma clan cannot talk to each other because they're so different in personalities.
Right.
And there's no connection in between them, and this is what Toru is starting to be.
Yo, can I be honest with you for a second, dog? This is the most like non-linear storytelling I've ever heard you describe an anime. You fucking like this.
I'm just saying,
I've never heard you
Aldo
describe.
likes this
I've
episode.
never heard you describe an anime in like broad terms like this ever.
But I did want to put more attention because
You
it was
bring
one
this
of our,
up.
it was one of our guest suggestions.
No, like I'm proud of you. Like,
thank you.
because a lot of times it's like pulling teeth for me to get you to get like some real like thought on
genuine.
this. Yeah, like some genuine like he's talking metaphors, he's talking similes, he's talking character dynamics. I've never heard you like pull something apart like this. Holy fuck, bro! Like
I'm just saying, and that's what I felt from Momoji. Like, and him put him into words. It's something that everybody else up to this point that they have felt for her.
no, yeah. He felt safe with her. Like that. Like Honda is everybody's shelter. Like she's
safe
everybody's safe space. She makes everybody feel really comfortable around her, which is why everyone, especially Momoji in this instance, wants to immediately open up to her. He's just like, everyone else is in on this big secret and gets to benefit from her knowing that he immediately wanted to be a part of it. And what's scary is that like Hattori is clearly seen as Momoji's like guardian almost.
Mentor.
Right. And he's got black hair, he's got hair over his eyes, like he's a scary dude. You know what I mean? So it's like, what are his intentions here? And right away we see Yuki getting defensive and like getting physically between Hattori and Honda, being like, hey, don't even look at her, bro. Don't even think about it. So we, as an audience, aren't even sure what is going on with Hattori in this instance.
His character is here. Yeah.
Right.
Like what his intentions are with Miss Honda.
Right.
But then he seems to be like a doctor, but because then he proceeds to talk about Yuki's condition.
Right.
Which I didn't get. What the fuck is wrong with him?
Nothing. There was a flashback later on in the season that was like, Yuki was he was just a sickly child. You know what I mean? Like he had breathing conditions. He was probably asthmatic.
Is it you?
Yeah,
Is that you?
Am I Yuki?
Are you
Oh
Yuki
my
so-
god!
Put on the dress I have.
And so they all go to the roof, and this is where they just like let everything all out. They're like, Hattori, what the fuck are you doing here? Momoji, okay, be a rabbit, whatever. Do you,
Just
bro?
get the fuck outta here.
Yeah, but they're trying to figure out what Hattori's doing. And he's just like, hey, I wanted to see who this new girl was. I heard you told the head of the estate that you were hanging out with this girl and that she knows her secret. And I'm just trying to see what's up, bro. What's up? Why are you so afraid of her? And it's just, we'll figure out more in like the very next episode. We're discussing like episode 6 right here, but in episode 7, that's where we really find out what's going on because Honda's invited to the Soma estate
Because of Hattori.
And it's scary, you know what I mean? Because even what's his name, the dog, Shigure is kind of scared for her, and so is Yuki, and so is Kyo, because they're kind of like, oh fuck, like what's gonna happen?
But no, they don't even know. Because remember, Hattori ends up calling and saying, don't tell anybody that I need you to come to the estate.
No, I completely forgot about that. You're
Yeah,
right.
so...
But
Hattori-
Shigure takes her, doesn't he?
No, she goes on her own.
Ballsy fucking girl. Because it goes into like her character, because she's such a good person.
She's
It's
already
like,
intimidated, but she's like, I gotta go.
right. She's like, hey, somebody from the Soma family told me that I have to do something, so I'm gonna go do it, even if it's against the people that like are actually helping her. And the Soma estate is scary for her because we get humanization of like the Hattori character, because it's like we get his whole backstory, and we learn why he's the dragon, air quotes dragon, in this point. And it's just like, Hatori's so harsh to people about knowing our secret because the one time somebody knew his secret, she had to get her memories erased.
Just because it was, you fall in love with somebody, they find out your secret, and other people don't like it. And that's pretty much, I guess, his deal with things.
There's, I think it's a cultural dynamic that I just can't understand because the head of the Soma household, his name is Akito. Mm-hmm. And Akito is basically seen as like being, I don't know if he's actually the same age, but he looks like he's the same age as like Kyo and Yuki and stuff like that. But he has like say over everybody, even though he's like 15, 16 years old. To the point that when Hatori had a girl that he wanted to marry, Akito went into such a rage that he basically blinded Hatori in one eye and told him, no, erase that bitch's memory. You're not going to fucking marry her.
Because she's going to drive herself insane.
Right. Which is like so sad. And it's just, this is why I like slice of life stuff. Like, I just want to feel some sad juices right here.
Somebody else's sadness besides your own.
Please, for the love of God.
Calm down,
anybody but mine, please. Because he's a doctor, right? And he's not only the doctor, he does like research and stuff like that. Like, he's practicing the research of medicine. He's just not practicing medicine because the girl he was going to marry was an assistant of his.
And she was also a Soma. She was just on the not, what is it called? The first...
She was in the clan, but she wasn't in the...
She was like the outside Soma, so she wasn't a zodiac sign.
Yeah.
But she didn't know their secret until he transformed.
They even physically separate members of the Soma clan based on how much they know about the family secret. So, like, when Honda's summoned to the estate, she's summoned to the inside of the manor, and it's ginormous. It's like acres and acres of land. And there's people walking around everywhere. And on the very inside, that's where, like, everybody knows the secret. They know who the Zodiac members are. The Zodiac members are part of the inner family. On the outside of the estate, you just have, like, random fucking people walking around. And just, like...
Your extended family.
your extended family. Because...
I was at a family party yesterday.
But see, that's
like a family reunion.
That's what disturbs me about, like, the way they view, like, this family dynamic here. Because I get what you mean about how you broke it down, but it's like, it's a clan... It's not direct family. Yes, it's a family name, but it's not your direct family. But it's still a cousin of a cousin of a cousin. And Hatori's assistant that he fell in love with was his extended cousin to some point. And he wanted to marry her, and he felt comfortable enough. Like, she found out the secret because when they were at work and they're researching, she accidentally bumped into him. But him being the air quotes dragon... He's a seahorse.
Yeah.
So she gets like, she bumps into the dragon. He's literally a seahorse out of water. And she's like, oh fuck. He's going to drown. He's going to drown. Is it fresh water or seawater? Is it fresh water or seawater? What do I put him in? Either one, he might die. And that's, I like the storytelling direction here because we're getting a parallel between that memory of Hatori's and his direct interaction in the current day with Honda. Because Hatori is trying to walk Honda to the main section of the main part of the estate to meet Akito, but she almost falls down a set of stairs. Hatori catches her, and he turns into a seahorse. And that's where we get not only that flashback of Hatori's ex being like, oh fuck, saltwater, seawater. We get that exact same reaction from Honda right here being just like, oh fuck, he can't die, saltwater, seawater. Which in his mind, even though he's in seahorse form and he's totally fucking dying, it gives those anime X's over his eyes. Like he's about to... Like
all
he's
dead?
Like he's literally
dead.
But we get his dialogue being like, the last time somebody had this reaction was my ex. Like, when she first found out my secret. And we get, like, more of his backstory because Honda waits for Hatori to change back. And she knows that he's going to be naked, and she's, like, really respectful, and she's like, your clothes are right here, just whatever. And Hatori drops off Honda with Akito, but when he's outside on a bench waiting for their meeting to end, he sees, like, his ex, like, on the estate because she's part of the Soma family.
No, he doesn't even drop her off to Akito
no?
that
What
day.
happened?
He realizes after, like, them walking to the estate after he transforms, he was like, you'll meet Akito, but it's not today.
Okay.
Because I guess that whole thing, like, he realized she's a good person. Mm-hmm. And, like, her resemblance to his ex-girlfriend is what, like, made him realize Akito doesn't deserve to see her.
Guys in the trauma, am I fucking right?
But yeah, he does end up, he's sitting on that bench and he hears about his ex-girlfriend getting married. Mm-hmm. And he's happy for her.
They were engaged at one point. Hattori and his ex were engaged. And that's why Hattori got blinded. Because he went to the head of the family, Akito, and he was like, yo, I'm trying to marry this girl. And Akito, just in... Me watching only season 1, I don't know why Akito is fucking like this and why everyone puts up with it. But Akito, in a fit of rage, literally, like, blinds Hattori in his left eye. And it's just like, no, you're not fucking marrying her. And Hattori just goes along with it.
Zen has the audacity to blame the fiancé, saying, if he goes blind, it's your fault.
Stupidest shit I've ever heard.
Just for asking to get married.
I don't know what narrative happens in seasons 2 and 3 that explains why Akito can do this, but me watching only season 1, I'm just like, dude, what the fuck? Like, that makes like, I'm beating somebody's ass, they blind me in my left eye, and they're like, no, dude, you're not marrying her. I'm gonna fucking fuck you up. I don't know what that's about. But, yeah. To your point, Rachel, like, Hattori now seeing that Honda is, like, a genuinely good person, and he's just like, holy fuck, this is why everyone likes her? It's just like, no, dude, you can't meet Akito. Like,
yeah, like, he knows Akito's not a good person, and Honda's just a genuinely good person, and she's not going to spill their secret. That's what he was afraid about. That's why he was going to meet with her to erase her memory. And
they in season 1 at least, they haven't explained how Hattori does it. But he's the one.
Explains it, to be honest.
No, okay. He's just Dr. Magic.
It just kind of happens like.
Just getting rid of people's memories.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the dramatic portion in this is like episode 7 or 8, something like that. Is she's about to leave the estate. She meets up with the dog. Shigure. He's leaving the mansion because he had some business at the estate too.
Business, quote unquote.
I don't even know what it was.
I think he just had like intuition, or maybe I think the doctor told him.
Oh, okay. Because the Hattori's best friend is Shigure.
Yeah.
Which is never said because Hattori is such like a fucking asshole.
Mm-hmm. Or when he says, when she explains best friends, he's like, we just grew up together. And they're all the same age.
But it's like your best cousin. You know what I mean? Like, you're closest with your best cousin. You know? It's like that kind of dynamic here.
But the other one's a dick.
Yeah, the other one's a fucking... Well, not even. They like
Distant.
him. They like him.
Distant.
But the scene I'm trying to describe is on her way out, she meets up with Shigure, and she's like, yo, dude, you're here too. And he's just like, yeah, I was just checking on some things. You all right? Yeah, I'm good, bro. What's good? And, okay, nothing. Just checking. A limo drives by on the estate, and she just sees like this fucking asshole in the backseat, and she's like, that's the head of the estate. That's Akito. Like,
she got the vibes.
She doesn't even ask any questions. She just sees some fucking asshole in the backseat of this limo, and she's like, bet that's him. That's the motherfucker everybody's afraid of. And that, like, we're not exactly in like the halfway point of this anime. We're in like a third in, but it feels like a change in tone once Akito's character is actually like introduced. Like, we're finally learning something about the Somas and how their family dynamic works, and it revolves around this abusive Akito character.
And just how intimidating Akito is. Even just to Toru not even meeting him, just like a glance at him is very intimidating.
Because I even tried to describe this a little bit earlier in this episode, that there was a point at the school, and I believe this comes a little bit later.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 episodes or so.
Akito goes up to Yuki, and Yuki gets afraid. Like, I don't know, to me it was very disturbing of how he acted towards this character. But now we know, like, at that point, you don't know why, how much of an asshole he really is, but at this point, I'm sorry, you don't know how much of an asshole he is until that point with Yuki.
That point is where Akito does go up to the school, and he goes to meet Toru. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, this is Akito, and he's saying how cute she is or whatever.
Trying to be fake almost.
Yeah, Yuki straight up sees him.
Yeah.
And
he's such a
trifling
exactly,
bitch. Like...
Yes. And Yuki knows he's there to cause harm. No good. And that's when he, like, scares the shit out of Yuki.
Because I'll briefly breeze through the next couple of episodes since you guys are already at like the juice, like the actual like good part.
Thesis.
Yeah. Because like the next couple episodes are like what I like about these episodes and what I like about like sitcoms from the 2000s is that they're based around like holidays. You know what I mean? Because the next couple episodes are like, hey, we're showing you a progression in time based around what holidays happening. Mm-hmm. So the next episode, like she goes to the Soma State around Christmas time. Christmas time, we're all Hispanic in this room, right?
Yes.
We're all Mexican Americans. Mm-hmm. Some more than others.
That's bold for you to say.
Some more than others. My understanding of how Japanese people treat Christian holidays, or that like Christmas
and like New Year's,
it isn't so much about the family, but New Year's is, right?
It's very big, yeah.
Because New Year's they treat it a lot like Chinese New Year's almost.
The renewal of life, the renewal of times, and
that's
better beginnings.
My point is that's how they almost treat Christmas.
Uh-huh.
New Year's is more how like on Christmas Eve I go with my family and we sit around for 12 fucking hours, eat tamales, and I get drunk.
Until Christmas actually.
And I get drunk and then I wake up on my grandma's couch on Christmas morning, right? Mm. That's how they treat New Year's almost, because New Year's is the family holiday.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh yeah, okay. So the next episode after the Soma State is it's New Year's. Toru Honda doesn't have any fucking family.
Because it's been...
Did we talk about going back to the grandparents after the remodeling?
No, we didn't.
We did not.
It was so pointless. God, I didn't want to talk about it.
Well, kinda.
It is. You can talk about it.
Well, I guess it shows a lot of emotion from like Yuki and...
From Toru, which at this point, from what I believe, Toru is, like you said, the shoulder to lean on, the crowd, what do you call
crutch.
it?
She's
the
a crutch.
crutch. So now Toru gets a call from the grandparents. Hey, girl, we're back at home. Our house is not really done. Grandparents. Grandpa gets a call from the grandpa. It's like, hey, girl, our house is almost done. It's not done from the outside, but you can come and stay over here with us when you have a bad situation, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like the reason I'm being very analytical about Toru is because
I'm bringing it up.
I connect with Toru. You know what I'm saying? I'm a people pleaser.
Did you live in a camp too? I
like to make everybody feel comfortable. I like everybody to feel welcome. You know what I'm saying? So Toru sadly has to leave the Soma house, not because she has to, but because it's almost to her expected of her.
Right. She's like, why am I going to go live with this family of dudes when I could go be living with my actual family?
Like, she feels like she needs to leave.
Correct. Right. And then we go to the Honda household. And
it's fucking terrible.
And it's terrible because her extended family are a bunch of pricks.
Terrible.
They're
terrible fucking people. Like
terrible fucking people.
And it has to do around, like, the grandpa's children. So, like, this is Honda's aunts and uncle and stuff.
Dad's side, right?
Yeah, dad's side. This is her dad's siblings.
Yeah, and the aunt, for what I believe, is there at the house living with her daughter and her son, which are Toru's cousins, like immediate cousins. Mm-hmm. And we still don't know what happened to Toru's mom. Mm-hmm. But then right here we get a little bit of backstory on her, because the mom, very dick-like, is like, well, why are you living with all those boys? I know you were living with all those boys. What the hell is going on? I know your mom's backstory. Oh. It was troublesome. What the hell's going on? Oh. And then, yeah, exactly.
Just because she's trying, the uncle's supposed to be getting into the police academy.
The police department.
Her cousin.
Okay. And the mom brings it up. It's like, I felt bad to put a PI behind you, but since my little boy is trying to be a policeman, he can't be.
They're gonna investigate the family, and I don't want the police force to know that because his cousin's living with a bunch of boys,
and because of your mom's troubled past and blah 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 and this and that, and then like a dick, and then like the biggest chode on the entire fucking show, the cousin walks up to the kindest fucking person I fucking met. Honda walks up to her and she's like, well, did they ever try something nasty on you? Blah, blah, blah. Trying to degrade her.
And at that same exact moment, Kyo and Yuki are outside of the house because Toru...
It's split in 2 episodes.
Because Honda gave her their address and was just like, hey...
Just in case you need me.
Just in case you need me, this is where I'm leaving.
But it was kind of like a call for help, kind of almost.
Kind of, but she's too nice to actually admit it was a call
Correct.
for help. So, like, they're behind the curtains watching this argument happen.
I'm like hearing everything going on.
And what you were talking about, it's 2 episodes. That's like the cut in the episode right there where the dickish cousins being like, hey, did they pimp you out kind of thing?
Yeah.
And the very next episode is just this long-ass fucking slap. And it's just the grandpa, this old-ass motherfucker that couldn't even find a place for Toru to live. Be like, hey, shut your fucking mouth, bro.
You little fucking asshole.
Don't let me hear you talk shit about her again.
And like the best piece of dialogue to me was like as soon as he slapped the shit out of him, he didn't even tell him. He just told him to shut the fuck up. He turned to Toru, directed his words to Toru, like, "Hey, I'm so sorry that your house has to be shared with a bunch of assholes.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with me. You are welcome. This is my house.
Yeah.
It's like, and you should not be feeling this way." And
I think the dub even used strong language
Yeah, it
to
was
describe
very-
them. The dub
Yeah.
the dub usually will dumb down language, but even right here, I think it called them like assholes or cunts or something. It was something harsh, and I was like, what?
I feel this.
Ay, Dios mío! Like, what the fuck did
that's
you just
spice. You got paprika like before. Now you're
What's a
getting
step up from
some
paprika?
cayenne. So you're getting some cayenne peppers, some habaneros.
Me and Karen binge watched Squid Game all this past weekend. It reminded me of the old man from Squid Game right here.
The main old man?
Yeah, number 1, where he's just like shutting people the fuck up with his real fucking sense. It's just like, that's right. Like, what am I gonna do? Argue with this old fucker who's actually in the
Denial,
right
but
here?
not.
Yeah, and the part you were describing, like, he turns to Honda and he's just like, hey, sorry about them, turns back, yells at his daughter and her son, turns back, and then Yuki's just there and he's just like, hey, old man, I'm here to take
I'm here to take
from
your
you."
granddaughter. Like,
He's just like, you know what? Do it. Like, the
Assholes don't know any better.
Yeah, the old man's just like, these assholes, I don't know if I can defend her as much as I want to. She seems all right with you guys. Like, I'm happy she has a good house to go to. Mm-hmm. And it's so like, fuck, this is where I like it. This is where I'm like, oh, this is like that PG fucking like after school special kind of spice. You know
Absolutely,
what I mean?
because up to that point, we've been seeing Taro being used as a crutch, being used as the leaning, and that can take a toll on anybody. You know what I'm saying?
She almost went along with it. Like, her cousin was being a dick to her, and she almost went with it.
But the grandpa didn't let her have the chance to go with it.
and her being a good person, she's apologizing, tears in her eyes, saying like, I'm sorry for being a burden, but I have no place else to go.
And I don't know if it was inner dialogue or actual dialogue where she's like, I just want to go home.
Yeah.
I just want to go home.
I think it was
just wanna
inner
go home."
dialogue,
Yeah,
but
that is the dialogue,
when
yeah.
she meant home, she meant the
That's so
Soma.
much.
home.
Yeah.
Which is just, oh god, it's
This
so
is,
good.
if you're gonna take anything from this fucking anime episode, like
Home is where the heart is.
Go with those 2 men. That's where home is.
The boys are gonna protect you. Get away from your family.
Jesus fucking Christ!
It
Great
is-
anime.
and like Yuki, I wanted it to be Kyo right here because like I was trying to describe a little earlier. I think Kyo would be the main ship I want.
But I think because the writing decision of being Yuki, I think it tells more because Yuki is more level-headed.
Yeah, he's very
Right.
mature, and he
Yeah.
knows how he's very...
You would
easy to-
expect it to be Kyo.
Correct, you would expect
Kyo's
it.
the asshole that'll just bust into a room and be like, "Hey, assholes, I'm about to beat all of you to death."
But Yuki still gives him a piece of his damn mind and
Yeah.
socks the guy.
Yeah.
Like,
He fucking flicks him in
or
the
whatever
head.
the hell, yeah, in the head, and he like goes flying.
But he's such a pussy. He's like, "Oh, he hurt. What
Yeah.
that man hurt me?
He hurt my cop head."
This guy wants to be a cop. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And it's awesome because I think the dollar is like, you don't fucking talk to anybody like that, especially Taro.
not my girl,
Yeah,
bro.
not our girl.
I'm glad you used the inclusive hour.
But what really caught me was if you guys, y'all noticed the grandpa refers to her not as Toru,
Yeah,
as to her mom's name.
correct. As I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Kyoko.
It's Kyoko.
He's like, it's Kyoko. It's like, no, stupid.
He's
like,
done that several times up to this point where they're like, "No, dude, it's not Kyoko.
It's not like he's
Kyoko's
just
done."
like a, what is it, denial? In denial? What's...
It's not. It's not. It's almost like the family wants to make it seem like he's senile.
Oh, that's the word, yes.
Or like he still misses Kyoko, but he sees Kyoko in her.
Because Kyoko was his daughter-in-law. That
Correct.
wasn't even his daughter.
Yeah,
Correct.
so that's why Toru is so much important to him.
Exactly. He's like Kyoko. Like he's keeping her mom's memory alive by just calling her Kyoko.
If this whole anime is about like family dynamics, like this leads into the Honda family dynamic right here. It's just like, dude, that was my son's wife. Like, that is my fucking girl. You know what I mean? Like, you fuck with her, like, you're just dead to me. That's it.
And it almost gives me like Hinamatsuru vibes of the celebration celebration of female family, and I don't know.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, I'm gonna
cry. This is the halfway point of the anime. Like, talking about like anime directing decisions. I don't know if the light novel could structure arcs however it wanted, right? But the anime is tied to this 12, 24 episode like season dynamic, right? Mm-hmm. So it's so fucking like just sauce that like episode 12 is just like beating the shit out of this punk ass cop for talking shit to Honda. And then, like, episode 13 starts, the music changes.
And it's all light.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. All of a sudden, the tone's up. The music changes so much more up. It's just, like, it's so much more reassuring from a narrative standpoint, because it's like, this is her family. Like, she has established her family, her home group here. Mm-hmm. And it just feels like, oh.
Family ain't always blood. Period.
Which leads up to when we were trying to describe New Year's. Because if New Year's is a Japanese family event for the Soma household and the members of the Zodiac clan, that's where they all get together and enact like the Zodiac story, where we were describing the rat tricks the tiger or the cat or whatever.
The big banquet.
Yeah, the big banquet. And the thing about the Soma household right now is they know that the head of their household is like hella fucking abusive. So Yuki and Kyo don't want to go to New Year's dinner, which is like, you don't not go to New Year's dinner unless you're the cat, obviously. Mm-hmm. So you, at that same point, we're getting Honda talking to her friends, the gangster bitch and the goth girl with the waves, like, hey, I have nowhere to be on New Year's. What are you guys doing? And they're doing family things because it's a family holiday. So she feels bad because she's such a good person, like trying to interject herself in that. Like, she gets invitations from both of them. They're like, hey, like, I know my family has like 8 people in it, but come through.
I know it's a small spot, but we'll have room for you.
Which is such like, again, like, fuck, I fucking love her friends.
Like, I'm gonna cry because that's us.
Her support system's so amazing. You know what I mean? But she's still like, no, I can't do it. She even goes out of her way to ask Shigure, like, can I spend New Year's at the house? Because she would be home alone, and she feels weird, like, with none of the Somas being there, like, being in the house alone. And he's just like, dude, whatever, like, do whatever you gotta do. This is your house. But none of us are gonna be here. So later on in this episode,
and Toru being the nice person that she is, she's like, oh, absolutely, okay, thank you.
That's fine.
That's fine. I'll be here. Yeah. Yeah, you don't know yet. But once idiot fucking men realize exactly what a woman was trying to say,
that she's okay, when they say she's okay, she's not okay.
Exactly. And I like the parallel right here with them running towards the Soma house.
Because them as a group of 3 are going to the Soma stand. They're like, yeah, we're going to fucking New Year's dinner. Blah, 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 blah. Toru's home alone.
And they run into the witch girl.
Yeah.
Saying how Toru being all cute and nice, saying like, oh, well, they're not going to be home.
Yeah.
Hanajima.
Yeah, and she's like, are you guys stupid? Is like, that's how Toru is.
You dumb motherfuckers. When she said she was alright, that meant she was not alright.
It's her first year without her mother, and they celebrate New Year's all the time.
And like, what I was going to mention is the parallel of Toru saying, when she was being degraded at her own family house, being like, I want to go home. Now we see an inner dialogue between Yuki and Kyo as they realize that...
Which they don't get along. Like, the joke here is that the cat and the rat cannot stand each other. Like, they're always with each other because they absolutely love Toru. But, like, every interaction they have is just them butting heads. Being like, shut the fuck up, you stupid rat, before I beat the shit out of you. You can't kick my ass anyways, you stupid fucking cat. Like, that's every interaction they have. So
it's like a Tom and Jerry episode.
Yeah. This is the first interaction they have that they're on the same page. That they're like, dude, we gotta go back home. Did we just leave her home alone on New Year's?
But
The
even
first year
then, they're
without her
fighting
family?
when they're running towards her.
Yeah. And we see like this run of them like inner dialogue screaming, I want to go home, I want to go home, I want to go home, saying that Toru is their home, is their safe space. And then we pan out to Toru before they get there.
Maybe they should just be polygamous. I think she should marry both of them.
Dude,
Hey, maybe.
why not have one boyfriend? Have two. There you go.
There you go. And like the imagery here of her enjoying a cup of tea with a picture of her
her
mom,
mother.
just like,
Oh! Because she's literally at home, alone, in the living room on New Year's Eve talking to a picture of her mom over a cup of tea.
And they walk in and see if she's okay, and she's
She's
crying.
She's not okay. She's not okay.
Stop.
Poor Toru.
And she's still acting like she's perfectly fine.
She's like, hey, good.
What's up, my dudes? What are you doing
Yeah, I'm
here?
having such a great time. What are you doing?
Happy New Year's.
Oh my
God damn it.
And it's so distraught because it's like, so they spend the rest of the night there. They're just like, dude, we're not gonna fucking leave you. But there's repercussions later in the line where this bum ass Akito, like, who I still don't know what member of the fucking Zodiac he is, like, comes at them and he's just like, hey, you weren't at fucking New Year's dinner. Where were you, pussy? Mm. And that leads into like the third semester here because it's like, it's springtime. It's the third semester. They're
Winter
still wearing their
vacation.
winter coats. Winter vacation. All that shit's over. But so they're going about their normal school year. But Akito shows up, and just like the rest of the Somas, like he's handsome, he's pretty. The girls are fawning over him, and like the rest of the school's like, who the fuck is this monstrously handsome guy just hanging out at the school? And he went just to find Toru Honda to see who she actually was. She's like, who the fuck is this girl holding up my cousins?
To not even show up to New Year's.
Yeah, New Year's dinner with me, bro. Like, why wouldn't you show up to New Year's dinner with the Akito Soma?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally what it was. Like, he's God.
He's like weirdly insecure, and I still don't know why I can't guess his fucking zodiac animal.
It's almost, well, you know, a pear, what do you call it? Pear tree? What the father and the mother, head of the house?
It's a
Patriarchy.
patriarchy.
There you go.
Patriarchy.
Parakeet.
and like that shit. It's
Wow,
almost
you
like
guys really did watch anime in Spanish, huh?
No Spanish.
La patriarca y la matriarca. But and it's not really told out that, but that's why Akito's upset. He's like, why weren't they there to
Where were my pussy
worship
cousins?
me in some way?
Mm-hmm.
Even though Akito doesn't give a shit about Kyo, the cat, nobody does. But it's Yuki he was more upset about not going because that's his thing is the rat.
It's a bitch.
Yeah,
his
and
bitch.
he gets fucking degraded. That was scary for me.
Yeah, because like Akito, which like Japanese schools are very like conservative to the point that like you wouldn't like allow random strangers onto the campus, right? So it's weird that they would even let Akito out here. But
Maybe it's different in Japanese culture. They let
I
people
don't think
in.
it is though, because we've talked about anime before, where it's just like, well, like when we watched Mob Psycho 100, where it's just like, dude, you totally don't belong in this high school. Who the fuck are you? And that's kind of the instance that I get here because Akito's totally walking around school looking for Toru. He finds her between the buildings and is just like, oh, you are kind of pretty. Oh, you must be kind of sweet. Are you very smart? And then like he's talking all this dumb shit about her, like in the back of his head. Like he's totally being
like, oh, she's very ugly.
She's
dumb.
He's being really passive aggressive, but in his head, right?
I thought you would be prettier.
Yeah, why do they like you?
These fucking dumbass
Almost
slights.
negging her.
These slights, you'd be like, shut the fuck up before I stick you, dog. Like,
and that's when Yuki got a little bit of balls to say something.
Yuki saw them from like
Far
one
away.
of the second building, and he was like, Toru's talking to Akito. And then he sees them rushing in, freaking the fuck out, because he knows how shitty Akito is. And then he's like, oh, what happened with you and Akito? And he's like, oh, she's a great girl, kind of deal. And that's when Akito starts fucking with Yuki without even trying to fuck with Yuki.
we're also getting flashbacks here from Yuki from that same...
Like Vietnam.
Yeah, because Yuki, part of his abuse has to be Akido.
Degrading him completely.
Well, not just that, but we see flashbacks of Yuki being a child, like a literal like infant almost, like a toddler, and him being like deathly afraid to leave a room because of Akido. So like there's some real like deep-seated abuse that was allowed because Akido is like the head of the household.
Yeah, and Akito's like, oh, you're not gonna get out of your room again, you little bitch? Huh? You're gonna be a good boy? I'm glad you're being a good boy. It's like, hope you... and then like what he says when they meet at the school, he's like, I just hope you remember to be a good boy or some shit like that. And this was trembling, his eyes go wide.
Like Yuki's freaking the fuck out.
And the only reason he got the balls to go and approach Toru and Akio is because of the appreciation he has for Toru.
Like he was defending Toru here. Because he's like, you're not going to delete her memories. You're not going to fuck her up. Like, none of that. Like, he was standing up for his girl right here. Which is, like, in season 1, I don't like that. Because maybe it's just because my bias. Like, I want Kyo to be the ship.
In general, it's his friend. He's going to defend his friend.
I want Kyo to be the ship. So I wish this had been Kyo here. Because I imagine Kyo would have done the same thing. But, like, it being Yuki, the narrative wants me to believe that Yuki and Toru are the ship. Whatever. Okay.
But
I'm going along with it.
But there's other episodes where it tells you that Kyo and Toru are the thing. Go ahead.
Just saying Yuki, like, it shows that how Yuki's relationship is with his parent, his mom. How she sold him to the head of the household.
Yeah, that was said passively.
That's exactly why he's kept alone in the room, because the rat is very... how do you say it? Like, very...
valuable?
Like, he's a gift, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is why Akido has a very like towards Yuki.
Because we get flashbacks inside of the Soma Manor. Like, people not within the main family being like, oh, he's the rat. Like,
he's special.
He's special. He's going to be, like, he's going to grow up to be something great. And, like, him being literally sold. That was the language
he
used
was sold.
in the
They
dub.
sold him. Like, Mom, you sold me to the head of the household.
Yes, seen as property.
Yeah, like, him begging her, like, take me home. And she's like, you're their property now. Like...
Fucked up. And like, what you were describing earlier, Rachel, like, so that interaction happens. Akido fucks off. He's like, whatever. It's Yuki's girl, whatever.
It was nice to meet you, Toru Hando, being a...
He's being polite, exactly. Right. But then she goes inside the limo and he's like, do you see that stupid bitch that they're hanging out with?
She's not nothing. She's ugly. She's useless. Yeah.
She's ugly. She's not pretty. She's kind of slow. She's airheaded, isn't she? Did you notice that?
Like,
is that why they miss New Year's?
And me and being an audience member, I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Me crying for her. I'm not talking shit to the TV.
Shut up, dog.
I like that we have a female perspective on the show. We wouldn't any other ways, because I don't think we would have ever seen this without you, Rachel.
There's no way we would watch Fruits Basket without like this being brought up. Yeah,
yeah. It made me mad. It made me sad. It made me happy. All the way till this point.
Like, is this why people watch novellas? Like,
that's what I'm
gonna say. This is my English-Japanese novella. Thank you.
My English-Japanese novella. And then the rest of the anime from this point is kind of like a lot of like the earlier episodes, because we get like after the confrontation with Honda's family and then the confrontation with Akido. The rest of the season is kind of like, it's not lackluster, like that's a bad way to put it because it makes it sound boring, but it's kind of like it's like we're coasting on these good feelings from there on out.
But introduces
a lot
more characters.
Yeah.
Right,
because
we're fleshing out the world. Like, we introduce the conflict halfway through the season, and here's like the rest of like just fleshing out the rest of the world.
Zodiac.
Because at this point, I would have never guessed that we're going to go into the backstory of the best friends.
Oh yeah, that shit's tight.
Yes.
That shit is super tight, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that got me by surprise, and I feel like the first insight we have of the
Hold on. Let's describe the cow first. Can we?
Oh yes, the cow.
Baby daddy.
How could I forget about
So
two different hair color
Haru.
Hatsuharu. A lot of when I was talking about the family dynamics that confused me when it came to like sexualizing certain characters start like in the next couple of episodes, because we meet the ox, the cow. We meet Hatsuharu, and he's if our main group of 3, Kyo, Yuki, and Honda, are in 10th grade, Hatsuharu is in 9th grade, which in Japan is still middle school because it's junior high.
Yeah, because he's barely transitioning into high school.
He is transitioning. And the episode starts out super fucking boring. It's like, hey guys, we have gym class and we have to see how much we can run, blah 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 blah.
No, it starts off with Yuki and Kyo trying to compete in a race.
Right.
So it's not that boring.
Well, I'll beat your ass at the school triathlon.
Yeah, he's like, you said race, let's go.
Let's race, pussy. So they're doing their gym class. They go run. But what we've been seeing is some guy with white hair and a bunch of piercings and like jewelry and necklaces and shit. Like he's wearing fucking chains.
Looking like a whole ass raver.
He's peacocking, as some people would say.
He's peacocking in the middle of Shibuya.
Ed Hardy, bedazzled shirt.
They're over here thinking he's going to a rave. Come on, guys.
Exactly. So like we're introduced to this character with white spiky hair. The girls on the street are like, is he going to the fucking club? Like what is this dude doing?
Like he's just going to class. It's 8 a.m. What's going
It's
on?
8 a.m., motherfucker. Is he still rolling over? Holy shit! And so he's seen his spaciousness. Like he doesn't know exactly where he is. It looks like the Shibuya Square, but we don't exactly know where. And he seems lost, right? So our main group of 3 is running in PE class, and they run into the same guy, and his name's Hatsuharu. But all of a sudden, his character is so much more like eccentric and angry. The minute he sees Kyo, he's like, hey motherfucker, I came to beat the shit out of you. What have you been doing? And we're just like, who is this? What is this? And even Toru in this instance is just like, she looks at Yuki and she's like, why is this guy trying to kick Kyo's ass? What the fuck is happening? And he's just like, oh, that's our cousin.
That's Hatsuharu, yeah.
That's just Hatsuharu. We call him angry. No.
No, he's Dark Hatsuharu.
Dark Hatsuharu.
Dark Haru.
They almost made it seem like a phase in his life. Like he went aggro.
He's very bipolar too.
There's a
Just
lot
like
of
Kagura.
characters that they explicitly describe their animal just through being bipolar. It's just like, you're the boar because you're bipolar. You're the ox because you're bipolar. And that's what's happening here because Hatsuharu pulls Kyo to the side in the middle of their run and is just like, hey, fight me. And Kyo is directly trained under a kung fu master, and he's just like, "Okay, dude, I'll beat the shit out of you. You want whatever." And Yuki's just kind of watching them, and Toru and is just watching them too, and she's just like, "Why? Who is this handsome guy again? What is happening?"
And Yuki over here like, don't interfere. Like, this is their shit. Let it happen.
Yeah, you're gonna get hurt if you go in there. Don't even bother. And I can't even remember how, but I think somebody had a cold. It was Yuki. Yuki had a cold, right? The day of the fitness contest or whatever, and he showed up to do his run or whatever anyways with his cold because he has to show up his cousin. He has to show up Kyo.
And he was already sick prior to that.
Yeah, he already has like some problems, breathing and shit.
Yeah. He it was Hattori that said that like no, when he was a kid. Yuki had breathing problems, and now Yuki has not only a cold, but he's got a fever at school while trying to do a run.
Yeah, and that day, Toru was like, you're sick, you should... The day before, she's like, you're sick, call in tomorrow, and he's like, I'm fine.
And
cool.
This is where anime, especially Miyazaki, has ruined my fucking life with colds in fucking anime, because I feel like, oh fuck, he got a cold, he got
I'm
a
gonna
fever.
call in.
He's gonna die. He's gonna fucking die. Tuberculosis. What can it be? Like, I think people are gonna die as soon as they get a cold in anime, and I fucking hate Miyazaki.
Cough?
Yeah,
that's literally Yuki.
But what's funny here is that like Yuki, it's those anime fevers. Like, oh my god, my fever's so bad, I'm just gonna like pass out.
I have a 99 fever, not even 98.6.
I'm gonna collapse here.
Yeah. So he just passes out. And then Hatsuharu and Kyo are just like, oh no, we gotta protect Yuki.
Not even Kyo, it was just like Hatsuharu, he was just like, that baby boy right there.
Yeah. This was the confusing part for me. So they're distant cousins, right?
So like, you are confused.
They're part
just
of
like Hatsuharu.
They're part of the same family. And Hatsuharu is he goes over to Yuki's limp body and he's just like, no, this was my first love. I need to protect him right now. I am in love with this man. Like, their first interaction, he almost makes out with Yuki right fucking there. And then in this instance, like,
10 minutes later, in terms of anime watching, he's just like, no, stop everything. We got to stop our fight because I need to protect my mans from like dying from a cold.
Do you never do that with your boyfriends, your man friends?
Not
This is my
really.
first
I
love.
guess I'm a terrible boyfriend. I don't fucking know. But so he's just like, Honda, hug me now so I can transform and I can transport him. And she's just like,
Because I'm
what?
the damn cow and he can get on my
He
back.
doesn't even say that at first.
No,
She's
he-
like, why the fuck would I hug you? What do you mean? So she does it, and then he turns into a cow, and then she's like, oh,
That makes sense.
that makes sense. So we're just gonna transport the rat on your back all the way back home.
Which is a story of the Zodiac as well?
Right. And what we were describing earlier about like them transforming
I
is
didn't even
through
think of that either.
through trauma. They transform also. So he turns into the rat when he gets cold because he's traumatized,
Yeah, he
right?
gets sicky poop.
His body's sick. So he turns into the rat, and everyone's like, holy shit, he's the rat right now, and we're at school. What the fuck are we going to do? And that's why they just kind of like, the story of the rat was the rat tricks the cat to not go to the dinner and then rides the ox to the
All
dinner.
the way to the dinner. Yeah.
All the way to the dinner. So that's exactly what happens here. And like they show up with the ox and the cow, and just like people in the street just being like, hey, fucking cow.
You have a
with
fucking cow. What are y'all doing?
Yeah, because it's just Kyo and Honda just walking beside this cow.
With a mouse.
They're like,
Or the
nobody
fucking
worry
rat.
about this fucking cow in the middle of Tokyo. Like,
What? Who's that cow? Oh shit! I didn't even know
oh
that cow.
shit, there's a
Yeah.
cow?
Yeah.
Come on, cow, let's
Yeah.
go home. Which is just like hilarious, but that's the part that doesn't make sense to me. This guy is madly in love with his distant cousin here, which is almost like accepted within the family because we saw that previously with Kagura. Like, it's okay if people within the family date.
I don't
and
think
fall
it's
in love.
them
Like,
being in love. I literally think it's just like him having a love for a family member. Not being in love, but it's just like,
Before
this is what a connection feels like in general.
But for the purpose of the soju, it's spicy.
In the dub, it made it sound like he wanted to fuck him.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear,
No,
like
it
the
does.
way I
No,
interpreted-
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
but like, I'm just saying, like,
You're agreeing with me. What are we arguing?
But for the purpose
He
of the
wants
novella.
to fuck his cousin.
But for the purpose of the novella, he wants to fuck his cousin.
This reminds me of that episode of That 70s Show where Kelso has an existential crisis. No. It was Foreman. Foreman has an existential crisis.
his cousin.
Because he almost fucks his cousin. This feels like the same thing.
no.
Hatsu
not the same
Haru
thing.
is trying to fuck his cousin, who we've established since episode 1 is high.
You said this is like a novella, bro. For the sake of the novella.
Fucking your cousin is the spice? That's his cousin.
I don't know, bro.
They have the same colored hair.
I don't know, bro.
It's a big deal that both their hairs are white.
Hey, it's
It's because I'm trying to think. I saw something recently on like where it's a cousin thing.
Yeah, it
But
is
it's
a
not.
cousin
No,
thing.
it's not like an incest thing.
It's
just
not.
like,
okay, with your cousin, it's not an incest
it's not
thing.
like a sexual thing. Like, yeah, they seem close, but it's just like it's more a respect towards him because he saved his life, kind of deal.
and we've talked about this before in other episodes when people say, "Oh, I love you." It's not in the dub. It's not really an "I love you." And even Japanese people have a separate word for like "I like you," "I love you," and like "I love you" as a family member.
Because it shows how Yuki changed his life.
But for the purpose of the novella effect,
They're gonna make it as spicy.
they wanna fuck. Yeah, like.
Oh, it's fucking traumatic. Like, I'm watching this shit,
Stop
and I'm
getting
just like,
excited,
and I'm
Drew.
just like, stop it, stop it right
It
now.
makes you feel confused. It's okay. It's okay.
It's disturbing. Okay, there's no reason. Like, I hug my cousin. I've never thought. Hey, Marco, what's up, bro?
Like, dude.
And if this story didn't need the spice, it would have probably been like, oh, he really cares about his cousin. But guess what? It's not
And
gonna
I
sell.
guess, and I guess you're right. Like, if this is a shoujo, and this is
Jalapeno
made for
on
12-year-old girls, and it's just like, you know what would be the spicy thing? These two hot cousins was totally boning each other.
I'm not 12, but alright, I love this anime.
There you go. You see it. You heard it here first.
Oh my
between us.
god. It's so...
You don't have to be 12 to like the spice on this anime.
Exactly.
It's just so wild. Like, it's... the next little bit here, I don't even know what was described next, because we meet... we're fleshing out the rest of the Zodiac, so we meet Yuki's brother.
The snake.
right? That's the next thing that happens.
Ayame?
We meet Mr. Ayame Soma.
So handsome.
Which is funny when it happens because so all that shit happens with the cow. They're like, okay, we've introduced Hatsuharu. He's now going to be introduced at the school along with
Momoji. They're going to your school next year.
Right, because this is the winter semester in their first year.
Correct.
Which means that in the next couple semesters, their younger cousins will join the same high school as them.
Correct.
And they're all joining this high school just because Kyo and Yuki are having such a great time and performing so well with Honda,
yes.
at the school with them. So they're all like, we're just going to throw all the zodiac signs at Honda and she's going to turn all of them into great fucking dudes.
And she's going to love them, period.
Yeah, because there's even like a piece of dialogue by Hattori. It's like, this girl is got Kyo and Yuki to get almost along.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, wow. It's like, so that's why I guess they threw him into this completely 100% good person.
All the Somas with personality problems. It's Honda's problem.
Like, he noticed it as soon as he met her the same day when he was explaining his story. He was like, Yuki and Soma. Kyo don't argue as much. They don't fight as much.
Correct.
And this is because of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I believe Ayame is. It reminded me of the antagonist on on the Yu-Gi-Oh anime.
He reminds me of Dio Brando.
And that's too.
If I'm being completely honest, it reminds me of Dio Brando a little bit.
And I believe they have almost the same voice actor because
maybe, and that'd be so funny. I'd be so down to look that up right now because the narrative that's happening is that Yuki and Kyo have a fight, whatever. Kyo goes into the woods to just run away from Yuki. Honda goes after Kyo to figure out what the fuck his deal is today. She finds a snake on the ground.
Yeah, she's walking, finds clothes.
Questions. She's
a Soma.
Right. So she's smart enough to be like, hey, there's a snake next to a bunch of clothes and there's no naked man around. This must be a Soma. And she's like, hey, Mr. White Snakey, what's going on?
He just crawls into her clothes and shit.
Yeah.
Cochino-like.
Yeah. And that's the thing about Ayame's character, which is again, confusing because all of a sudden I have to deal with all these LGBT characters at once and I don't understand their relation to their own fucking cousins because Ayame jumps into her clothes and Yuki finds her in the woods. No, Kyo finds her first. And it's just hey, that snake, that's totally Yuki's fucking older brother. So, or it was one of the two.
No, she's walking and then she ends up going to the household. And then they're like, where have you been? And she's just like, oh, it got cold. And then the snake pops out. And then Yuki sees the snake and straight up just socks him. And then she's confused. She's like, what's going on? Because she doesn't even know it's a Soma snake.
She kind of figured, but she didn't figure.
But she wasn't sure just because it was cold. The snake was seeking warmth.
Right. She thought. Which he was, but he wasn't, but he was, but he wasn't.
What's up?
Because it's January or February, right?
Yeah.
It's basically almost fucking Valentine's Day. And she's just yeah, what do you mean? The poor little snake man was cold. And Yuki's just you motherfucking pervert. How dare you?
Yeah, Yuki already knows at this point it's his brother.
How dare you use your cold blood as an excuse to fuck my girl?
To feel up on my girl, you fucking asshole.
Romance.
And this is where we meet Ayame Soma. And the thing about Ayame is he has this inside joke with his cousins that are about the same age who are Hattori and Shigure, right? Because the dog, the dragon, the seahorse, and the snake are all around the same age, so they grew up together. They're the closest cousins. They're the best friends in the family. But the thing about Ayame is he kind of has this inside joke where he's really, really
with Shigure.
Gay with his cousins. Yeah. That's the joke. You know what I mean? That it's just hey, I have a shop where I sell ecchi clothing and I sell he owns a sex shop almost where he sells kinks to people. Maids,
schoolgirl nurses.
Stuff. You almost expect them to describe sex toys at a certain point.
But it's very classy.
But it's classier because it's outfits and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
The dirty stuff is in the back room. But the good stuff in the front room.
But every time Ayame's in a room with Shigure or Hattori, he's just hey, you hot, sexy motherfucker, what's up? I haven't seen you in a minute.
What's up, cousin?
You didn't go see me last night. What's up? And you're just like,
Like, it gets to the point where, like, they both question, like, hey, we've been apart so long, you didn't cheat on me, did you? And, like, they look at each other and they're like, hey, like...
And he's like, no.
And then they're like, unified, they're like friends.
But everyone else in the background is just like...
Like, questioning everything.
Yeah. Like, especially Honda, she's just like, are they together? Are they not together? What's happening? And Yuki's just like, dude, I don't know. You just kind of go with it. They're just kind of like
weird
into each other. Like, I don't know what's happening. It's so like funny, but at the same time, like, I need answers. Like,
I think a little bit after this whole situation that we get here, once Momoji and the other Somas join school, there's a weird spot where there's an asshole calling out Momoji,
the student council president.
Oh yes,
the student council president at that time.
So of his dress code.
Yeah, so Kyo sees Momoji and Thoru walking through the hallways, and he's like his reaction is getting mad because that's Kyo and he's stupid. He's like, "Yo, what the fuck are you doing, cousin? You don't have your fucking uniform. That's the girl's uniform. What the fuck?"
It's
and he's like, "Yeah, this looks very cute, though. Yeah."
There's different types of Japanese uniforms that normally like center around the women. So there's like ones that look like suits, but there's a lot that they call sailor uniforms.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was very sailor-like with the hat and everything.
Right. So the thing about Momoji here is that he looks like he's 12. He's a 15-year-old boy, but he's wearing a girl's sailor uniform. So it goes outside of the realms of the dress code a little bit. But he's wearing shorts. He's not wearing a skirt or nothing. You know,
but he's wearing the jacket.
He's wearing the blouse or whatever.
Yeah.
He looks like a little sailor girl. Like, good for him.
And Kyo is like, "Yo, what the fuck are you doing, dude? That's the boys. I mean, that's a girl's uniform. You have to." And then Hatsuharu pulls up and he's like, "Look at this guy. He almost got it right. He's missing his tie, but I mean, he wants to peacock, so that's what he does."
He's wearing a bunch of silver chains. His shirt's
all
pinky rings. He's wearing earrings.
And his hair is what he questioned the most. Your hair is not naturally white and black.
Correct. So a little bit after that, after Kyo makes the initial response to Momoji, Momoji's like, "I don't care, dude. Like, I look fabulous on this." And even Tora's like, "Yeah, he looks cute. Yeah, like, look at him." And he's just like, "Yeah."
Which is ironic because at that same point, though, Yuki strolls up because all the cousin Somas are here, and like. Even the class president is just like, yeah, Yuki's the fucking hot one and totally has a man crush on Yuki. He's like, "Hey, Mr. Yuki, Mr. Handsomeness, what's up, buddy?" He's just like, "Why are you fucking with my cousin?" He's just like, "Oh, this cute little cousin's your cousin, you handsome motherfucker?" And he's just like...
And because of that, he directs like his attention to Hatsuharu. He's like, "Your hair is how to dress code.
Color,
it's like, this is not your natural color," but because he's a fucking ox and a cow, he's
like,
double
"This is
printed.
my natural color."
Yeah, he's like different, like a different colored print.
His character model in human form is he has white tips and like most of it's
Black
white
and a black fade.
Black
roots.
Roots, thank you. He's got black roots. So this is probably the funniest part of the whole anime. He's just like, "Hey, Mr. Class President, you want to make sure that
I'll show you
that I'm not actually dyeing my hair?" And the class president's like, "Yeah, there's no way you have black fucking roots and white hair." So Hatsuharu pulls him into the restroom, and we assume that he's pulling his pants down and showing him his pubes because, like, the class president comes out, he's like, "Nope, it was natural."
No questioning.
He like, and
his glasses.
and I'm doing this, like, he takes off his glasses and wipes the fog out of them because they got steamy, and then he puts them back. He's like, "Well, yeah, that's evidence enough."
And Toru
It's totally natural.
So innocent, she's like, "How did he prove that this is his natural hair color?" And Kyo and Yuki like, "Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it." And then fucking Hatsuharu is like,
I'll
show you. There's no need for transformation.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, Hatsuharu's very like sexually
out there.
fluid.
Hey,
I feel like he's just
fluid.
like how you are with your bestest friend pretending to be gay.
I've never pretended.
I never
did
pretended to be.
I've had friends like that. Just
Yeah, I know people are like that.
You pretend to kiss other women?
no, like
She kisses women.
No, I'm just saying, no, like the best friends I have are guys pretending to be best friends, well, pretending to be gay with their best friends, but they have girlfriends.
No, I get that.
Yeah,
I'm
I get it.
I'm
Yeah.
totally
Oh,
being,
okay.
I'm being facetious. Like, I'm just totally kidding.
But he reminds me of the Ram character of Beastars.
What?
Yeah, Pina.
Yeah, I remember Peanut from Beastars.
Yeah.
And I guess I kind of understand where you were going because Peanut's character was kind of like,
Pansexual?
not even, yes. Because pansexual describes being attracted to somebody's personality, and that's how Peanut tried to treat himself in season 2 of Beastars. It was like, hey, you're a wolf, blah, 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 do with me what wolves do. And that's kind of how this character is treated here.
Yeah.
Hatoharu.
Hatsuharu.
Hatsuharu.
And the other parts of the season, we get introduced to the mother of the monkey before we're even introduced to the monkey herself, because I think it's around the winter time too. It's like the beginning of the 3rd semester or whatever. The Somas get the idea that they're going to go to a hot spring because it's a Soma family, like it's a clan, like they're rich, right? Like we tend to forget that when we're introduced to like these 3 members, Kyo, Yuki, and Shigure. Like we kind of forget that they're from like an actual rich estate, like the estate tax, like an actual like rich household.
Correct.
That they own properties and stuff. So they get the idea like, hey, we're going to go to a hot spring. Or I don't even remember how it came about. But they
Because
end up...
of Momoji, because of Valentine's happens. Valentine's in like Japanese culture, the girls are the ones to give gifts to the guys. So like chocolates. So Toru spends all her money to give like the Soma members chocolates. And then March rolls around where White's Day happens, where in return the males give the females something in return.
It's kind of sexist that Americans don't have that, to be honest.
That
Shit's
should be a
fucked
thing,
up.
though.
Yeah. Well, not. I don't want to see sexist. I don't
Well,
know. It
because
just
our
seems-
Valentine's Day is like give and take from both, right?
It just seems more fun to do it the way the Japanese do
I
it.
think so. We should bring it on that way.
Yeah, because it just seems like the other significant other or the other person that is really likes the other person tries to do something, and then in return you get a day to pay them for what they gave you.
Because I feel like it's very pressured just on Valentine's Day on how we celebrate it.
because you have some instances in regular American Valentine's Day where you give somebody to somebody that you really care about, and they don't give you shit back.
Yeah, and it's just like, damn, what do I do now?
I watch Mean Girls.
Yeah. You made me watch Mean Girls.
So,
How
like...
have you never watched Mean Girls?
The issue that we're describing here is like Toru literally makes like handmade chocolate gifts, Valentines for literally all the Soma members.
That she met, yeah.
And she goes broke doing it because she's working a part-time job cleaning at a hotel. And she still has her tuition to pay and like all this other bullshit. So March comes around and she has no money. She has nothing to do. And it's turning around springtime, like spring breakage time, which is like what? Like 3rd week of March, 4th week of March, something
Second
like
week,
that?
yeah.
Something like that, right? And everyone's like, hey, let's go to the beach, let's go to a hot spring, let's celebrate spring, blah, 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 blah. It's just like, no, you know what, guys? I think I'm going to spend the weekend at home. I'm not, my checkbook don't look good. Like,
It's like when your friend tells you, "Nah, I'm not going out this weekend, bro."
oh, you want 12 more beers? We just had 12 beers yesterday.
But your friend's nice enough to spot you.
I don't know what friends you got.
But that's how it is with Momoji.
But the Somas are good enough people that they're like, you know what? We're going to take you to a hot spring. Because it takes, I think Shigude is the first one that points it out. That, like, he's like, hey, other guys, Kyo and Yuki, she doesn't have any money because she's broke the bank, like, trying to help us out and trying to get us gifts. So the boys decide, like, let's take her on a spa day. You know what I mean? And because they own their own estate and they own their own properties,
They don't really have to pay for it.
they don't really have to pay for anything. So it's like barely even a gift for them because they want to do it anyways. I think it was Momoji's idea.
yeah,
like you were talking
Momoji
about.
gifted it to Toru, and then Yuki was like, Toru asking like, oh, would you want to go? Or no, Shigure was like, you guys should go, and Yuki's like, I'd love to go. And of course, Kyo being Kyo was just like, I'm not going, especially if that rat's going. But it takes him remembering how great Toru is and whatnot, and he's like, I'm gonna
Toru's really gonna go?
So I am gonna go.
Yeah, I guess I have time. Like, so they all go, and they meet like this again, like another bipolar character. Like, it's this middle-aged woman
who's very ill, apparently.
Apparently, air quotes, apparently. And she has long bouts of like having low energy, but then she's got really high energy. And she's describing how she's like married into the Soma household, but that her son / daughter is the monkey.
Side. Yeah.
Right. I think she says the monkey flat out at this point. Because like different sections of the bath, she's able to like question Toru, and like again, like every other member of the Soma clan, she has to really establish that Toru's actually a good person. She does that, and it's just like, hey, just so you know, I'm kind of weird because my son, daughter got taken away from me because they ended up being a member of the Zodiac, so
I'm very overprotective still.
Right. Which is like this whole household's like abusive as fuck. Like, I get it. There's magical fucking animals involved and possessions. Like, I understand. I sort of get it to a point, but there's a lot of like taking babies away from mothers that I don't agree with here. Like, I understand trying to foster youth, trying to foster talent, trying to like make somebody with an innate talent be all that they can be. But there's every instance here, the member of the Zodiac cannot be raised by their parent.
Mm-hmm. And that's what Toru comes to a realization around this episode. She's like, I never...
Yuki wasn't raised by his parents.
I never heard about them talking about their parents when she's over here talking about her mom all the time.
And I believe this is where we get to the episode, This is a Secret, or That's the Secret with Momoji.
Yes, the next episode. Oh, that one was really heartbreaking, not gonna lie. Oh,
God, too. Yeah, it's fucking horrible, because... what is it, Momoji? Right?
Yes, Momoji.
Yeah, the rabbit.
The
rabbit.
Momiji, he's super, like, out here. He's super, optimistic. He's super optimistic, just like Toru.
Just on life, dude.
Just like Toru. And Momoji volunteers to work at the hotel with Toru.
Just to hang out with her.
Yeah, just to hang out with her. And then...
Like, everything we've seen, like, he's from money. You know what I mean? He's a fucking Soma.
He doesn't need to work.
Yeah.
Period.
And he's just hanging out with her, and and when Toru comes to the realization where she's like, well, where's everybody's parents at?
Yeah.
She kind of, like, slightly asks, it's like, oh, like... How's your mother? Who's like, oh, well, I met my mother. Have a picture of her. Do you want to see her? It's like, oh yeah, this is my mother. Yeah, and
my father met her from Germany.
No,
yeah,
it wasn't even that.
Tell me.
It was an episode where they were both cleaning, and like the blonde lady comes out with the sister, and she's like, oh, what are you doing here so late? To Momoji, and he's like, oh, I'm just cleaning with my friend. Whatever, and she's like, okay, make sure you don't get home too late. And Toru was asking him like, oh, who is that? And he was like, oh, that's mama. How do you say mama in German?
I think he just said mama. Like, he just said mama in a super German fucking accent.
I know it was like a certain thing because I just recently watched it. And he's like, that's mama, and she's like questioning like what? And like he goes into the backstory of how she gave birth to him. Apparently, the zodiac animals are premature. So they're born 2 months before their actual full term.
Which isn't that premature.
Which is 2 months, yeah. Well,
yeah,
7 months, right?
Premature.
And it's either you love your baby, like you're super overprotective, or you reject them.
Because they're born as the Zodiac.
Well, they're born regular humans until they come in contact with them. So when she hugs Momoji, he transformed into his rabbit.
Right.
And she's
like, yo, what the
instantly.
fuck?
Yo, what?
Yeah.
I know I fucked a Soma, but Jesus.
Yeah, she rejected him, and he's going into like the story of like how she rejected him, how she had to go into the doctors, and she was just like not about having him. And, like, how the dad just making him feel bad. Like, if you want mama to live and to be all right because she's in the hospital, like, she's going to have to forget about you.
Yeah, and the way he describes it is that it's his fault. He's like, I must have broken something inside my mother that drove her to almost killing herself.
To insanity, yeah.
Because he talks about his sister, too.
Yeah.
From the same parent group. Like, it's the same dad here. Which means that, like, after she got her memories erased, she was still having a sexual relationship with his father, who was a member of the Soma clan.
They were still married because she had no idea of Momoji. So there
Right,
was
which is
nothing to break
so
them up.
fucked up. Like, she was forced to forget about her first child.
So we're
Had a
married.
second child
That wasn't cursed.
that wasn't cursed and, like, keeps her with her. But Momoji has a recollection of both of them. Like, he remembers both of them so clearly. He's like, yeah, look at my mom. She's this hot fucking German babe. And look at my dad.
like,
look at my sister. Doesn't she look just like my mom? And Toru's just like, yeah, that's crazy. And then she meets both of them 30 seconds later in the anime.
And she's like, you look more like... You're your mom. You look more like your mom.
But because the mom has her memory erased of Momoji, she knows he's a member of the Soma clan. She knows that she's married to a member of the Soma clan. She doesn't remember her first kid, though. Mm-hmm. So she tells Momoji, like, hey, get home safely because your mom's going to be worried about you. And again, like, it just tears at you because Momoji's just like this happy fucking man-child, but his mom doesn't even know who he is. He goes out of his way to clean windows at a hotel because his mom lives there with his sister. Like,
Just to see her. Just to see her.
just to see them, like, 4 times a week. Like, that's so fucked up. Like, that's so, like, I don't know what happens in season 2 and 3 to describe why everyone has to be, like, torn apart from their family. But, like, me in season 1 watching this, I'm just like, what the fuck, bro? Like, that's so terrible.
And his coping with his way to cope with it is like, my mom needed to forget about me. And
okay.
and he's like, the way I'm gonna be okay is I don't forget who my mother is. And then he's telling this to Toru, which Toru already misses the fuck out of her mom.
Right.
And Toru's like, fuck, you're so right. Like, I've been so in my feels about my mom's loss is that the only way that I can still live with her is through remembering her.
And Toru straight up breaking down in the lobby while Momoji's like telling her like his life story, and he's like, oh, why are you crying, Toru? And she's just like, I'm so sorry, Momoji. Like, I'm wrapped up in my own life. Like, this sucks for you.
Which is crazy because, like, every time we've described like Toru Honda's loss up until this point, we're describing how everyone doesn't even realize Toru's loss, right?
Because she's so happy. She's everybody's crush.
We're talking about Kyo, we're talking about Yuki, and like how they all have their parents, but like they're so like abused by their family, they choose to forget their parents. Toru tries every instance to remember her mom. Like, her biggest asset is remembering her mom's memory. And Momoji's just the opposite of all that. And that's what fucks with your head. Alive. So it plays with your emotional expectations, which is like good, like, writing from the manga standpoint, probably. Like, it's really like, it's next level kind of emotional manipulation.
Storytelling, too.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous because we didn't even mention it, but up this point, there is some instances of little flashbacks that Toru will have according to the situation that she's in, that she'll quickly remember her mom when she's either cooking when she's sick or cleaning when the mom is not home yet because of her work or instances like that. But they're so quick that you don't think about it at this point, but you're like, who is the mom? Who is this female figure of almost, it reminds me almost of like Made in Abyss of the main character's mom. It's like, ooh, who is this lady?
Because she's so talked about and so
I want to meet this lady. Yeah, she's put on a pedestal.
Right. She's such like a monolith of a personality that it's just like, who the fuck was this woman?
And then we get into the backstories of the best friends.
Right. So again, like, just bleeding off of like Toru has no money from Valentine's Day and everybody kind of owes her a favor because she's the best fucking person ever. They have like an open pool day at school, right? Her best friends, Watani and Harojima, like, they're all being hot in their bikinis, right? Even Hanijima, who's like this weird goth chick, like, shows up in a bikini and she's got fucking tits and shit.
This is our price for watching this long.
Right. We're like in like episode 16, 17, and we're just like, okay, cool, tits. And then like Honda shows up, but in her middle school like onesie bathing suit. And even her friends are like, dude, what the fuck are you wearing? And she's just like, oh, well, I kind of didn't have the money from Valentine's Day and then all these other holidays. And it still fits, so why didn't I wear it? Because it's the only thing I have. And, like, so the best friends get together with the Soma clan, the dudes that she lives with, and she's just like, hey, motherfuckers, like...
We're buying a bathing suit.
We're buying her a bathing suit because she can't afford one right now, and she takes care of you all bum asses all day. Mm-hmm. So the next 4 or 5 episodes are us just going to buy a bathing suit, but it turns into this big backstory about Arisa Uwatani. Mm-hmm. Because Uwatani is like, she's blonde, which, like, we've seen in anime before means... Well, a lot of times, not necessarily here, is that, like, if you dye your hair blonde, which isn't a really common natural Japanese hair color, you're probably the troublemaker. You're the gangster. Like, you're trying to, like, go against the dress code and trying to stand out. Yeah, you're Bakugo from fucking My Hero. So, they're at, like,
his color's not natural? I'm sorry.
No, it is, but the blonde hair...
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
There's like a lot of anime tropes where it's like, oh, that's how I know you're a troublemaker because you bleach your hair.
And then the white hair is like the wise one. And then like pink hair is the super optimistic one and shit like that.
Like even
is
in like Japanese live action movies, even like the one with the bleached hair probably means that they're a troublemaker because they're trying to go against the dress code.
All right.
Right, exactly. Which they never say that's what's happening here, but like she's blonde and she's a gangster, so it makes sense, right? So we get like 2-3 episodes about like Uwatani's like backstory and her relation with Honda's mother.
How she met? Yeah.
Because Uwatani... Kyoko, yeah.
Yes.
Because Uwatani was like a middle school fucking thug. You know what I mean? She was a little chola. Like, she wore longer skirts, which I think is ironic compared to like American culture. Like, you'd probably try to thaw it out a little more if you were like the thug girl.
Her father was an alcoholic.
Her father was a non-responsive alcoholic who wasn't part of her life. Her mother died early. She didn't have any relation with her extended family. So she was wearing like long skirts and getting in fights after school. Mm-hmm. And she learned while in like 6th, 7th grade that like the biggest badass gangster girl like in the whole fucking section, her name was
the Crimson Rider.
The Crimson Rider.
Yes. So up to this point we know that Taru's mom died in an accident. We don't really know what happened to her, but this is where we start getting a little bit of backstory. And she mentions she meets Taru. She bumps into her
years prior.
Years prior. Yeah, in 6th grade when she was in 6th grade, 7th grade, or something like that.
Uwatani bumps into Taru.
Correct. And Toru being the amazing person that she says, oh, I'm sorry, banged her head. Sorry, I bumped into you. Blah blah blah. And Uwatani is like, what the fuck are you doing, motherfuckers? That nerd. It's like I'm gonna fucking stab you right here if you don't pay attention where you're walking.
She did hear that the daughter of the Crimson Rider went to her school, so she was looking out for her anyways. Mm-hmm. And then she asks like,
"What's your name? Who are you?" And Taru is like, "I'm sorry, I'm Miss Honda." And then she's like, "Could this be the Crimson Rider's daughter? This soft baby poop piece of shit girl right here?" And she almost gets so
it's like how
it almost surprises her so much that this is his daughter that she even forgets that she's mad at her for anything. And the daughter's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like, can I invite you to my house or some shit like that? And because of Watani's curiosity, she's like, I need to make sure this is the Crimson Rider's daughter.
Who I'm thinking of, yes.
Correct. Which is her idol. You know, because she wants to stab people all the time.
It's like how you're never supposed to meet your heroes.
Correct.
And that's like what these next 2-3 episodes are about. Because she goes over to the Honda household. The dad died, like, Toru's dad died at an early age from, like, a cold or something like that. And she meets Kyoko after school on the way to the house. And Uwatani is just like, who the fuck is this girl with the blondish orange hair that's so, like, upbeat and so worried about her daughter's school life, and meets her up at school after? And she's just like, hey, I'm Kyoko. And she's like, this is Kyoko?
The Crimson Rider. The Crimson Rider criminal? She just turned into a baby mama.
She's
bitch.
a house mom. Like,
yeah, it's like, and she's so distraught. And like you said, it's meet your heroes fucking phenomenon things. Like she gets so disappointed of her hero, of her idol, that when she's at her house, she gets invited to dinner to stay for dinner. She's like, no, I'm not fucking out of here. Like I don't want any of this.
I'm a bad bitch. Why would I need dinner?
Bitch. And like the connection Toru and her mother have, Kyoko, that they're just so motherly, daughterly. Like it's love. Uatami doesn't believe it. She's just like, this is my hero. She's not the badass I expected.
And then she goes deeper into the hole that she was, almost like the
she like was depressed after meeting her.
correct. And the vibe of the whole anime changes here. It almost seems like a fucking, mobster movie almost here, because she's like, nah, fuck that. And it seems like she's hanging out with the wrong crowd. The other friends are talking about like, dude, my mom was pissing me off the other day. One of these days I'm gonna fucking stab her. And then like it's almost like a little montage of like a little time span here, that the same girl that was talking about stabbing her mom later on says, I'm glad I stabbed that bitch, or some shit like that. Like it turns into such a deep hole. But as this montage of like the hole that she's saying is going on, like she's starting to realize, like, I don't need this. Why am I here? I don't need this. I'm so jealous of the Kyoko situation.
Uatani also has a senpai, like an older student that she looks up to and takes advice from, that is like, hey, you kind of don't need this. Like, she's passively in the beginning trying to be like, hey, like, don't go into this hole. X, Y, and Z. And Uatani, she keeps gangbanging. She's still beating up people after school. But she gets really, really close with Kyoko and...
she actually starts going to school.
And Toru and her mom. Because she's like, I want to see Toru. I want to hang out with Toru. You know what I mean? I want to hang out with my friend. And the Uatani eventually... Because she's now almost part of, like, the Honda household, she tries, like, dropping the gang, right? So they gotta jump her out. Which, like, I haven't seen some shit like this in anime, like...
Never.
Even in fucking,
It's the most real fake shit I ever seen.
Even in Durarara, this shit didn't happen. Remember?
Yeah.
Like, that shit was all about gangs and gang warfare, and they didn't even have somebody jumping each other out.
You might see something that even, like, Rui... No. Who's the book from Beastars?
The main guy, right?
Louis. It seems like something like that might happen to Louis later on if he wants to exit the mafia.
That's what happened in season 2 of Beastars. He almost got shot because he was trying to leave the gang.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
you're right.
So Uatani tries to dip, and they're like, "Hey, we gotta jump you out now." So they're like almost trying to fucking kill her. Like, this goes beyond just, like, fucking her up a little bit. Like, they're trying to make sure that, like, she literally never speaks on the gang.
And she just can't leave, like, physically.
Physically can't leave. They try to break her legs. They try breaking ribs. Try breaking her face. All that shit. And it takes Kyoko, the Crimson Rider, pulling up. And just scaring the shit out of all these middle school girls.
Because
barely
she keeps
even
her
doing
gangster.
anything.
Because she keeps her gangster. Like, her decision to be a good mother, it's her own decision.
But she keeps her rep.
But she keeps her gangster, yeah. And when she goes out to these fucking people, it's like, you motherfuckers better knock that shit out right now. And everybody's like, whoa.
Like, a mother. She's very motherly about it. She's just like, stop this shit. Like,
she's had enough,
Go to
bro.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she saves... Uatani, yeah, like she saves Uatani, takes her home, and
she carries Uatani all the way
like,
back,
literally walking
to Kyoko's home, and that was part of like the shame, which like Japanese people and how they treat shame is a lot different than how Americans do. You know what I mean? Like
American doesn't give a fuck.
We don't give a fuck about shame. Like we'll be on the corner asking for money.
Yeah.
The thing about like Japanese is that like if you do something for me, like I need to bow down to you. Like the kind of shame that comes from doing a favor is so different from how we treat it. So Uatani, like, coming conscious, like, on top of Kyoko's back, it's just like, why did you fucking do that? You just, like, put yourself down to help me out. Like, why would you shame yourself like that? And she's just like, dude.
Because you're my girl's friend.
I'm a mom, bro. Yeah. Like, that gangster shit doesn't matter to me,
that
dog.
shit don't fly with me, dude.
Yep.
Like
I'll keep it gangster, but, like, I do it for my girl. Like, you're my girl's friend. Like, what?
And we talked about this in Death Note, bro. The dad of Light. He's the guy that makes the most Like,
he's the only relatable character.
Because he's the real person, and this is what I would do. This is what anybody would do, I believe, you know? And now this bold character that we've seen since the first few episodes, now she's getting, like, a super, like, backstory.
It feels so cool that, like, a character that we were introduced to in episode 1 is
That we
getting
didn't know
backstory.
anything about.
Yeah, that we knew nothing about for 20 episodes is getting a backstory through a side character that we, like, forgot had a name.
Bro.
Like, that's what I mean. Like, I'm washing dishes while letting this shit fly. And I'm like, episode 17, 18, 19, shit's not gonna happen, whatever. Washing dishes, washing. I had to stop for like 10 whole minutes. I'm just like, when the fuck did this get good? Like, I was just like, motherfucker. Like, it was like, from like a directing standpoint, I'm just like, I texted Aldo, Rachel, like, after episode 17, I'm just like, I barely realized that this anime had after credit scenes. And I waited until after the credits in episode 17 because I was like, is there anything more? Like, I need to know more about what's going on with Kyoko
like
right
a Marvel
now.
fan waiting.
Yeah. I was just like, dude, you can't leave me on that. Like, that's not
Cliffhanger
enough.
over here. Come on,
Yeah, and it's just, it's so wild. Like, a shoujo, it is like getting this reaction out of me that I'm like, labeling almost should not exist in anime because everyone should be watching this at a certain point.
Yeah,
right?
everybody should watch this.
Like, I don't get how you're like, yeah, I like anime, but I only watch Naruto, Bleach, and Dragon Ball Z.
One Piece.
And One Piece. But it's, how are you not gonna watch fucking
Fruits Basket.
Like, what are you talking about? You're missing so much. I don't even know what to tell you.
And we talk about this is what all we talk about in fucking this fucking podcast of Between Nerds, that people should watch more anime. If you're gonna watch something else, watch this.
One of the funniest things for me about hosting this podcast is I felt like I was more pretentious about anime before I started this podcast as opposed to after. Cause like almost anything at this point, if it's an anime, if it's a Japanese medium and has Japanese writing, it has tropes that I recognize that I know that are from anime, I'll probably like it, right? It has to be just extra shitty for me not to like it. Mm-hmm. I'm like 95% likely to like it. Mm-hmm. And Fruits Basket is just proves like that rule. You know what I mean? It's just like you pretending that like you're too fucking sus to watch Fruits Basket.
You're too cool.
Or B-stars.
Or B-stars. Okay, bro. Like, you are missing out on the best aspects of the genre. Like, there's a whole medium that you don't understand and claim to like because you cannot watch something that's like a little too sus for you.
Yeah, it's so cute. It's just literally so damn cute.
It's slightly too sus for you.
That should be a genre.
Too sus.
Okay, bro. Okay. Like, you're the pinnacle of masculinity. You sit behind an anime avatar on Twitter talking shit. Okay, dog.
But if that wasn't enough, if the Owatani fucking timeline was not enough for you, honestly, I wasn't expecting for them to introduce Goth Girl.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. I was like, thank you for Kimi Watani. That was much appreciated.
She's the best.
I loved it.
She's the best.
But then, like, the next couple episodes, we're here on episode 16, 17, 18, because that whole Watani thing.
Hold on. I want to finish the Watani thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to spend too much time.
Go ahead.
When they're at the mall buying the bathing suit, some gangster girls try approaching Uwatani, and they're like, "Hey, girl, we're going to beat you up," and they just blow her off because it's like Kyo, Yuki,
and
Honda, Uwatani, all of them, they just blow off these gangster girls.
But and they're all like younger too, like middle schoolers.
Yeah, they're like 13, 14s, and like a couple years younger.
And the girls are like, "Hey, aren't you the one pussy who got like beaten out of the gang? You're a fucking pussy, blah blah blah. You Ariza Watani is like, are you sure?" Kyo and Yuki are like, "Are you sure you don't know them? Like, they're calling you out by name." It's like, nah, dude. It's like, don't even pay attention to them.
They're like,
and they're following her, and she is now Kyoko.
Right.
She's
so above the gang.
She's so above that, and at first she doesn't want to tell them that.
Yeah.
But it turns into like they just were antagonizing them for so long and following them for so long. She's like, "Yo,
She grabs one of them by like the collar and is just like, "Hey, stop acting tough with your fucking friends, or you're gonna get your ass beat."
Go to
Not
school,
by
bitch.
me, but somebody worse than me.
Right, and that's the after credit scene that I was describing in episode 17.
And
it's the girls under a bridge, and one of them being like, "Hey, I'm dressed as Uwatani. Don't you think I'm so
Changes
fucking
her
cool?"
hair, changes her clothes, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm Uwatani. Like,
Yeah, and it's literally like, "Hey, I'm gonna beat your ass for acting like Uwatani." It's just like, no, I think I'm above that shit because I'm Uwatani. Blah 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 blah.
and then
I'm
another
like,
girl dresses her too. Just
oh,
the respect.
it's so good. It's so good. It's like annoying that it's so good.
Yeah.
Like, I wish it was shit. Like, it would be so much easier to talk about if it was garbage. But like, it works. It really works. Like, it's such like because like to Aldo's point, the next couple episodes talk about Hanajima and how like they show that Uwatani met
Hanajima.
Hona like when they were in middle school, like early middle school, right?
Hanajima, yeah.
And then Hanajima was introduced like late middle school, early high school, right? Mm-hmm. But they're this inseparable friend group now. It's like, how did that happen? Mm-hmm. Hanajima was the weird fucking like girl that saw spirits in class and shit. And nobody wanted to hang out with her. Everyone thought she was super weird and creepy and that she was going to curse them.
And they were right.
They were right. They were right at a
right.
certain point. And but the thing about Hanajima's story that's different about the Uwatani story is that it goes back into the the family dynamic that was that like all a Fruits Basket is involved in. Because Hanajima's family, her parents did not understand her and thought she was just a fucking freak. Her brother embraced like her being a little goth girl and kind of like started dressing in black and started realizing that she had a certain power or aura around her and that like she could sense things differently. And when Hanajima brings a group of bullies to her home for like, I don't even remember what the context was. It was like a class project or like they were trying to pretend to be friends with her or something like that.
Because they wanted to know more about her, but with misleading intentions.
Air quotes.
Yeah, air quotes.
Yeah, they were kind of gonna like jump her in her own home, or they were trying to find evidence to like bully her more. And the thing about Hanajima is that,
Like, the thing with, like, Hanajima is that, like, her family, even though her curse of, like, being, like, a witch or whatever, they still love her. They still incorporate her. I think they have her in her house. That's their daughter.
It's like a phase for your kid. She's like, oh, she's going through that one phase, but
Yeah,
we love
she's
her.
in middle school. Like, this is what everybody goes through. But, like, yeah, there got to the point where she was being bullied by people at school to the point where, like, they were just calling her a witch and just pretty much saying that, like, she was going to kill somebody.
And you brought me back to, like, a silent voice almost.
yeah.
No.
Did you watch a Silent
Dude,
Voice?
no. And I heard your
my God.
podcast on
Did
this
it-
one too. I was running, dude. I stopped and I started crying because I remembered. That hurt my heart.
The whole month of February, we cried like every week.
Yeah.
There was no way around it because I think what you're trying to describe is there's a bullying scene in the classroom right here with Hanajima
Eating lunch.
where a bully like pushes her down and she wishes in her head like, I wish you were dead. I wish you were fucking dead. And this guy like has like a heart attack or like some kind of panic
It just
attack.
like collapses, like Carrie.
Yeah,
Like, very much Carrie-like.
He passes out like right then and there, and she's just like, "Holy shit! I almost killed somebody."
And it wasn't like I almost killed somebody. It was like, holy fuck, I did this to him and her mom. And his mom, I mean. Because the mom, later on, we find out that she also collapsed at the hospital where the kid was at.
Yeah.
And then we get this whole, like, fictional element to the anime.
Right.
On top of, like, the zodiac signs and the Chinese zodiac animals, that there is some fantastical magic thing going on here.
Because when we were describing her previously as always talk about waves and wave magic, whatever, she just has this really weird quirk. Well, she'll talk about somebody's personality traits through waves.
And like how, like, oh, let's say Toru's waves are very upbeat today or something along the lines of that.
Like she'll watch an interaction between Kyo and Honda and be like, Kyo's waves are really sympathetic and he really responds positively
Or
to her.
Kyo and Yuki's waves are the same. And then when she meets Shigure, all their waves are the same without realizing who they are.
Right, like we're getting like she knows the Soma secret without knowing the same
exactly.
Soma
Yes,
secret.
yes.
Just because she has this supernatural like affinity, which is like interesting because this is like episode 22, 23. We have like 3-4 more episodes of season 1 to go. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's a little fantastical. I don't expect it to get more fantastical than that.
Like elaborate a little more, maybe.
But like the ending sequence here is that she becomes Toru's friend because Toru is such a good person that she sees past like the
cover of the book.
Right, like she sees past like the what's it called? The like people are talking behind her friend's back.
Oh yeah, because so
she sees behind the rumors.
So Hanamiya switches school after the whole debacle with her may or may not put this kid in the hospital.
I
right?
think he was just in a coma, from what I remember.
Correct. So,
just in a coma.
Just in a coma.
Just in a coma.
For 18
Not
years.
dead, but just in a coma.
But yeah, so she moved school where Taru was at. So her decision was like, I cannot make any friends here. I can't trust anybody.
Just stick to myself.
I just stick to myself, and that's all I'm gonna do. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people could fucking relate to, especially when you switch schools at a young age.
And it gets to the point where she befriends Toru and Uotani, and they're like really good friends, and they're talking to other girls, and one of the girls mentions like, hey, Hanajima, didn't you almost just kill somebody at your past school? And of course she like flashback starts freaking out, and she like dips out of the classroom, and she's just like remembering how she almost killed this kid, wishing he was dead. And Toru runs after her crying like, I love you, I'm gonna be your friend.
Yeah.
And she also has another flashback to before moving to that particular school. She had moved to another school where some girls burned her with matches.
Yeah, like literally burnt her. And that reminds me of there's a Netflix show that's called like The Haunting of whatever year. It's like 1886, 1976, whatever. That was coming out maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And one of the episodes that's about like 1976 is about like just girls burning somebody that they're bullying. And the thing about like Japanese bullying in like anime and movies and stuff like that is just like, it almost feels like the way the 1960s treated bullying in medium, where it's like it's something that happens and you accept it and you don't make a big deal about it, which is like extra sad in this context because it's like this is an already damaged person. This is somebody already trying to recover from something, and she's just being bullied that much more, which makes one of the points that we talked about when discussing the first half of the season is that Toru is really everybody's rock. Like, she's everybody's foundation. Like, so many people see the light through Toru because she's just such a great person. So, it gives so much context to, like, the earlier half of the season. It's like, why would these girls protect Toru Honda at every instance? Because it's like, dude, like,
that's their light. That's
their light. That's everything, bro. Like, what would you be without your motivation right here? Like, what would you be without your light? And that, like, hurts so much more leading into, like, the last, like, 2-3 episodes of season 1, because it's about our boy Kyo. Because Kyo, the cat, has been shown to be ostracized by the rest of the family in every other instance here. And he has this complex about it because he knows he's ostracized from the family. This well-off, like, well-to-do family that holds so much value in every other member of the Zodiac, except for the cat, because of one stupid-ass fucking story.
And then, to that point, to your point, when the master, his master, Kyo's master, the one that took him in to almost train his, like his emotional, tipping off. Kazuma, it almost feels like there is a catch to him being involved with a family.
Right.
It seems like there's something because there's a piece of dialogue where when the senpai comes back, to Kyoko Senpai comes
Right?
back.
No, you're
That's
right.
what it is, yeah.
And he's like, oh, so you are ready to be with a family.
Right.
You think they love you.
Yeah.
You think you're deserving of the Zodiac family. And at first, it takes me for a curve because I'm like, what?
It's fucked up because Kazuma is shown to be Kyo's foster father.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, his mom died from a reason that we're about to fucking describe.
Mm-hmm.
And Kazuma took him in, raised him, and in the same instance where the character is being introduced, the character of Kazuma is being introduced at the Soma side household where Toru and everybody else is residing, that he's like rejecting Kyo in that same instance. It's just like, from an audience standpoint, it's like, hey, this is the character that describes Kyo's relation to everybody else, and he's rejecting Kyo from the rest of the household. Which feels so fucked up when I watched it, like, in this instance. Like, we're like 2-3 episodes away from finishing the season. I'm just like, dude,
where's this going?
where is this going? Like, it's so terrible. Like, this is...
Are they gonna kick him out again? What the fuck's gonna happen?
Again, because these are like 15, 16-year-old boys. Like, it's just like... This is the kind of trauma that, like, the El Paso shooter took to his fucking grave. You know what I mean? This is... too personal?
Dude.
Like, these are the kind of things that, like, people really hold
through.
against the society. Like, and it's because what Aldo's trying to describe is there's a secret about the cat spirit that hasn't yet been explained.
So, like, with that being said, in probably an episode prior to that, Kagura, the boar, comes over
Again.
wanting to see Kyo, and she's just saying how much she loves Kyo and asking Toru, like, would you love him as much if you saw his true form? And Toru's
Which
like...
is such like some sus-ass shit to tell
questioning,
somebody.
like, what? And Kyo, like, pretty much shuts her up. Like, you say something else, like, I'm gonna beat your ass, you know? And she's just like, okay. And, like, at this point where I was watching it, I was just like, oh my god, like, what else is there to this? Like, and this is where Kyo, well, obviously gets picked up by his senpai, Kazuma, for 4 months in the mountain, and he's training Kyo. Kyo has a secret past, obviously. This is why the cat is neglected as he is. Which kind of leads into, I would say, the last episode for season 1.
But then again, Kyo's involvement to the family ever since episode 2, it's already seen problematic now.
Yeah.
Because of the dialogue that I was trying to explain later is like, oh, so you think your family loves you? You've gotten too comfortable here.
Right.
And
so it's not only that, like, he's ostracized, but he's protected because he's, like, possessed by a spirit. So it's like that give and take kind of thing. And the thing about Kazuma is, in this earlier instance, once we start getting this backstory, is it doesn't seem completely selfless. Because Kazuma, really early on, before we even get this flashback, is talking about how his grandfather was the original person possessed by the cat, which is why he responds so positively to Kyo.
Wait, Kazuma's grandfather or Kyo's?
Kazuma's grandfather. Kazuma's grandfather was the
Original.
cat spirit before Kyo, right? Yeah. So, when we get flashbacks from Kazuma of his grandfather being in a cage because he's the cat spirit. But what we start noticing is that there's like a band of beads around his wrist. And
I didn't notice until this episode.
I didn't notice it until right then here,
didn't
because
notice
it's
either.
like Kyo really had this red and white band of beads around his wrist
His
this
little
entire
bracelet.
time. This bracelet that mattered so much because Kazuma's grandfather, Kazuma is Kyo's senpai, who's a master kung fu person. He met his grandfather at a later age when he was like 6 or 7 through a cage, and his grandfather was like, hey, I'm the cat spirit, like, please don't get too close to me or you can get hurt. And we don't understand why until like the second to last episode. Kazuma takes off Kyo's wristband, which is these red and white beads. And that immediately starts transforming him into what we think is the cat spirit, or the cat spirit we've seen, like the little cute fucking orange cat. But it starts turning into like one of like I tried talking to you before we started recording, although it looks like one of the foxes from the first part of Hunter x Hunter.
From the Hunter exam, yes, the two apparitions and the two fast anime form.
Right,
Yeah.
like they've got these long extended arms
Like
with
a praying
these,
mantis almost.
like a praying mantis with giant forearms, this giant snout, and like these really skinny like appendages down like the body and stuff. And and the anime describes it as smelling like rotting flesh.
Super repulsive.
Super repulsive, right? And that's why everyone has been trying to stay away from the cat spirit this entire time.
And the tone of the anime, just like when it changed with Watani and the other friend, like the tone changes here. Like I might as well be watching like Death Note.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very dark after this one.
Or something super dark like that, or Berserk. You know?
No, you're right, because the tone feels like a completely different anime. It feels so much more fantastical all of a sudden, because everything about Fruits Basket has been feeling super slice of lifey. Like, yes, there's a fantastical element that they turn into zodiac animals, but right here, he literally turns into a monster, like a demon. And he starts, like, scratching, like, the people around him. Like, he lunges at his master, Kazuma, barely misses him, runs away in his giant cat demon form, runs away into the mountains. Honda runs after him, being like, yo, dude, like, he's clearly hurting, and you're letting him be on his own. Like, I gotta go help him. Kazuma, like, yes, he's part of the Soma family. Yes, he helped raise Kyo, but he's feeling like distant at this point because he wants,
It's like tough love almost.
but like more so. He's
But
more.
it's like he knew what he did.
Yeah,
He did it on purpose.
he's more testing Kyo to see if he really is the demon he looks like.
And at this point, Toru is there with Kazuma and Kyo, and she sees Kyo transform. Kyo, of course, takes off because he's like, I'm disgusting. Like, nobody wants to see me. So he takes off into the forest, and Toru's just like, I'm gonna go after him. And there's like a second part with Kagura where she sees Kyo transform, and she sees Toru take after him. But it's obviously like no words, no nothing, but it's just like, you know what's going on here. And she goes to go fucking see Kyo, and Kyo's like, don't touch me, get away from me, like, I will hurt you. To the point where Kyo actually does hurt her, and like shoves her away off of like a cliff.
Well, you're right, and he has giant fucking 12-foot fucking claws, right? So when he's like, hey, get away, and half lunges, he really claws her in 3 ways, like with his giant fucking claws. And it's so fucked up. And this is where I was like, this whole episode that we've been recording, I'm like, hey, Kyo's the ship, Kyo's the ship, Kyo's the ship, Kyo's the ship. He literally causes her physical trauma that would need stitches. I'm like, oh, I don't know, Kyo. This is
But a bitch loves everybody.
That's a little bit too far, bro. And he knocks her into like a lake, like a half.
Like, it's all
only,
muddy.
It's
and
only like
whatnot.
6 inches deep. Yeah,
It's almost like a trash landfill almost.
But it's enough to like hurt her.
Yeah.
She's clearly bleeding and needs stitches. And she gets out of the mud and she almost walks back to the Soma house.
And then she remembers.
Like, hey, he's a little bitch and needs my help.
Like, Kyo's hurting. He doesn't know what's going on.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because as Kagura emphasized her love for Kyo, she did not have the guts to go after her.
She saw him when he transformed. Did she do anything? No,
she didn't. And that's one.
I hate Kagura.
And that's one big fucking thing about like
Toru.
the Toru. Yeah, Toru's personality. She's like, I know he's fucking ugly. I know he smells. I know he might be dangerous. I need to go. It's like a fucking like werewolf, Hunchback of Notre Dame.
This is where I saw Kagome with Inuyasha when he turned demon. Period.
Yeah,
This hurt my heart.
I was it reminds me of the Prisoner of Azkaban part of Harry Potter, where what's his face, the uncle turns into the half demon, where it's
Sirius Black.
Yeah, when Sirius Black turns into like the half wolf, but he's not the full wolf, but he's still a monster. But Harry like realizes that like, yo, you're my guardian,
my uncle,
that's my uncle. And right here, it's just like nobody but the way Toru's been written for 25 episodes could accomplish this without me being like, yo, this is complete trash. Right? Because what's annoying about episodes 1 through 24 is just like, dude, nobody acts like Toru. Like, literally nobody in the world could ever act this fucking pure.
Just innocent and just about love.
But what helps in episode 25 where it's just like, dude, like he's literally a smelly, rotting demon thing.
And physically hurting.
And he physically hurting. Like, nobody could like him. And it's just like, Toru could. You told me for 24 episodes that the only person in the world that could love this dude is Toru. And it happens. And, like, from an audience perspective, I'm just like...
Beauty and
like,
They did it. They did it. Like
I knew it was coming, and they fucking did
right.
it.
This is one of the first times in an anime that had this much of a lead up that I'm like, round of applause. Like, you did it. Like, I didn't think you could do it.
And even then, he still tries to, like, fling her off because she gets off and, like, runs to him, like, climbing a whole ass, like, little cliff. And, like, she's, like, hugging his arm because he's, like, a 9-10 foot monster, probably even bigger. Like, he's QB status at this. He's, like, Ninetales.
He looks like the QB with giant forearms.
Yeah, but, like, disgusting.
Yeah.
And she's just, like, holding him, crying. And he's, like, what is she doing? And he's still trying to fling her off. And she's not budging. Like, she loves this kid. Like, my heart hurts.
Polygamy. Yuki and Kyo got it.
Kyo's the ship.
We ship Kyo.
Kyo's the ship. Like, there's no way around it. Like, I don't know. And, like, the part that upsets me about the ending of the season, which, like, this is already episode 25.
It's like bringing, it's like from ReZero, it's like bringing the gray haired girl instead of Ram at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, by the end of the episode, it's just like, Toru pretending that nothing happened, and it's just like, yeah, I totally need stitches because of this dude, but it's okay because he's sorry, right? Which is like what every abused girl says at the end of the day. So it's just like, what the fuck, bro? Like I wish that Kyo had bigger repercussions to his actions, but the ending of episode 25 of season 1 just treats it like, hey, it's all kind of swept under the rug. He's sorry. He's a better dude now. It's okay.
Yeah, and we, if you allow me to, we did miss a couple plot points where
What did we miss?
Where Toru fails the exams even after Yuki tutored her for a long time.
Yeah.
We missed Ritsu, which is one of your hot points here. The trans
The monkey!
Oh, we completely didn't describe Ritsu at all.
Well, honestly, it was very irrelevant. That was the daughter of the the spa? But before we end off with that, at the end, it does show a flashback with a kid that we're going to assume is Hatuharu going into the hospital with a very long-haired girl, which I'm going to assume is part of the Soma family, which Zodiac, we're not sure of.
You're not assuming, because you know. You're a fan of this anime.
Of course I do, but you guys don't know, so we're going to assume.
So
nothing.
Since, I don't know if you picked up from this, but we really love this fucking anime.
It's pretty good.
So we're hoping to see you for season 2 here. Whenever you have a chance, we can schedule it, and we'll fucking do it.
Well, I'm glad y'all enjoyed the first season of this anime.
Isn't it great when you...
I love the show, honestly.
Isn't it great when you, like, recommend somebody to something and they like it too?
Yeah,
we would love to have you back in 3 weeks, to be honest. Like, we're trying to have a quick turnaround time on this. That would be the episode that would come out the 25th, I think. And the thing about, like, this anime that we haven't even described is there's characters, like, supplemental characters that are part of the Zodiac family that we haven't even described yet.
Given their backstories or anything.
Yeah, which, like, is kind of my fault, because, like, there's at least one of them that I have an issue with their writing. Not necessarily the character themselves, but I have an issue with the writing with some of these characters. Because there's a couple episodes with the tiger, where she's like an 11, 12-year-old girl who's hella mischievous and she's getting bullied in school, but she is helped by Toru because Toru helps like her understand what it means to stand up for yourself.
She's not mischievous whatsoever.
She's not mischievous, okay, but
like,
she's getting bullied in
bully
school,
her because
right?
of her hair color and her eye color because it's not normal.
Right, but she can't defend herself and explain why because she's a member of the Zodiac, which is like the biggest fucking secret here, right? Mm-hmm. And another character, there's a couple characters that we haven't even described that are related around Shigure, who is Shigure's not assistant, but like Shigure is a published author, right? And he has not an assistant, but like there's somebody that's a part of his
publicist team.
The publishing team.
Yeah, there's somebody that's a member of his publicist team that like always harasses him about
and always wants to kill herself, honestly.
Wants to kill herself about like his due dates on his memoirs, right? Because like he's a publicist strictly because he wants to bum around the house with the boys and just like do whatever. And so she randomly shows up to the house and is just like, oh my fucking god, this draft was due yesterday, I'm gonna fucking kill myself, like how dare you do this. But there's a member of the Zodiac Soma household that we haven't described, which I find hella important, who is the monkey, who's the son-daughter of the person that we described at the bathhouse.
Yes, the owner of the bathhouse.
Right, and this is Ritsu. Ritsu's a boy by birth.
Girl by decision.
Girl by decision, thank you. Mm-hmm. And not by decision almost, but like that's who she identifies as.
Correct. By heart.
Yes, thank you. And I have a really, really big bone to pick with this anime/manga when it comes to the writing of Ritsu. So we've described Momoji, right? Momoji likes to dress like his girl because that's how he's comfortable, but he still self-identifies as a boy. Mm-hmm. But he's very comfortable in effeminate clothing.
Yeah, because he likes how he looks. He's cute, you know?
He's adorbs.
Good for him. And he gets that affirmation everywhere, right? Everyone's like, dude, you're totally cute dressed as you are. Mm-hmm. Ritsu is a different case. Ritsu is about the same age as Shiguri, Ayame, and Hattori, right? But the thing about Ritsu is that the anime describes him as he, but I want to use the pronoun she here because she feels comfortable dressed as a woman and identifying as a woman. When
he first meets Toru, he looks very feminine. So she assumes she's a girl, very she. It's not till like the end where that's my son. Uh-huh. So she's still a girl.
Right. Which is kind of fucked up. And the episode that Ritsu is introduced in, it's like Ritsu is a very soft-spoken, like pushover kind of girl, right?
And it seems that that's her personality because she doesn't want to be rude because of her decision, which is something so fucked up.
Right.
Like she's almost apologizing because of who she is.
Oh.
You know,
she was born as.
Exactly. So she's trying to embrace her heart and how she feels inside, and she's trying to embrace that. And she dresses in a beautiful kimono, and she looks
beautiful
like
makeup, beautiful
hair, and she's a pushover, like you were saying, Drew, because she seems like she's always trying to apologizing for her being herself.
Just so we're clear, we're describing a trans woman. And what upsets me most is how the Soma family treats her. Because the Soma family goes out of their way to use the pronouns he and him, which is not how Ritsu feels comfortable. Ritsu explicitly, at least in the dub, uses language that I am comfortable being seen as a woman, as a girl, right? Which is so hurtful that the people that go to her defense are a bunch of dudes that insist on saying he and him. Mm-hmm. And this is when, like, this was probably, Thursday or Friday last week, that I'm at work, and I'm trying to understand.
You sent me an article on this.
I sent you an article about this, Aldo. I texted you a whole-ass Japanese article about, like, how Japanese trans law is written.
I didn't know You, as surprised as you were, I did not know how
because it
crazy
didn't make sense to me. I'm
I
like,
wanna learn.
like in 2021, this type of writing literally doesn't make sense. Apparently, Japanese law for trans people is written in a way from a draft of a law that was written in 1961 that says that being trans is a mental disorder. So you see a lot of the male characters, her family, describe it as a mental disorder here. They're like, yeah, she's confused. Yeah, she doesn't understand.
That's how the mom referenced her as not well, and she's ill.
Which is
Okay,
so
that makes sense.
fucked up. Like, that's so, like, she's clearly comfortable being seen as a woman. Like, that's a woman. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care how Aldo could identify as a woman tomorrow. If that's
now.
If that's how he's comfortable, I don't give a shit. I literally do not care. Like, it is no benefit to me
to give a shit
to identify to another person how they should identify. Correct. You know what I mean?
And as an audience, as a progressive audience, when the mom says like, "Oh, she's ill. Oh, she's not well," I'm waiting for like
a sickly person.
That diagnosis. Like, I'm waiting for the little doctor diagnosis of, "Oh, she might have cancer. She might have fucking something."
That's what I expected. I expected some kind of weird blood disorder. I was like, what the fuck is going on with the monkey?
So back to the article.
The article describes, under current Japanese law, it's literally written that trans people are not allowed to identify as their chosen gender, but as how they were born. Number one. Number two, they are expected to attend psychological treatment for the disorder that makes them identify as the opposite gender.
Physical treatment. And if a
physical treatment,
and if a girl decides to be a trans male,
decides is the wrong word.
Identifies
male
to be a trans male, she would have to go through a medical castration, so she doesn't end up pregnant and confusing the population.
Right.
Your face is crazy.
For the audience here,
Rachel is in awe right now.
Rachel is like disgusted.
Dude, that's so ugly. Like, jeez.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, this was like the biggest like bone I had to pick about season 1 of Fruits Basket. It's like I loved every other portion of it. Every other part made me want to cry. I identified with Toru so much, but the writing in the 2-3 episodes that Ritsu's like featured is like, holy
that
shit.
She has a mental illness.
This is caught in like the 1960s so bad that it doesn't even realize it.
But then my argument to you, and it's not a very good argument, and it's not a very good argument, but Toru being the most progressive mind, being the most lovable person, when Ritsu is breaking down in front of her, is like, I can't believe, like, my family calls me, him. I can't believe my mom calls me ill. I can't believe I can't be beautiful in my kimono. I can't believe I can't have good
All
hair.
she wants is to look good in a kimono. Like, how, like, G-rated of a motivation is that? Like, how easy would that be to just be like, dude, like, you look good in a kimono.
So Toru's full-hearted, like, response to that was, like...
crying in general.
She's crying to her, and she's like... You, as weak as you see yourself, someday you're gonna find a person that you're gonna be their motivation, their role model, and that's the way they want to stitch it up as far as like the writing goes. And it's not a good argument to stitch how awful they treated this trans female in the anime, but
like, we're expected to treat these cousins talking about trying to fuck each other every episode as like the most progressive thing possible, which is like fine if like the other person's comfortable around it, whatever. But the minute a trans character's introduced, it's like this big mental disorder kind of thing. Like, that's so just fucking wrong.
And we're introduced to the female that it's kind of like a guy.
Yeah,
the trans male who was...
They try nudging you into it with Momoji's character, because they're just like, hey, it's a dude, he still identifies as a male, don't get me wrong, but he's very effeminate and he feels very comfortable in girls' clothing. The minute Ritsu's introduced, it's like they really treat it like it's a disorder, like it's something to be treated, and that's so just ignorant and ugly.
So I'm talking about the born female character that is not so feminine, that meets Ritsu, and she's like, "Oh, like I'm sorry that I said those things to you. I wish you could help me be more feminine." Yes,
Shoshikire's editor for his novels is introduced to Ritsu.
Correct.
And they hit it off.
Yeah,
Obviously, that's what happens.
And they hit it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like her as the character is like, I hope like you can show me how to be more feminine and stuff like that. But there's like a chemistry there. You're right.
Yeah, they're super like they're very much girls when you're drunk in the restroom at a bar, and they're like, "Hey, let's be best friends." Yeah. That's literally what it is with them.
It reminds me of the writing that we picked apart last week in Yu Yu Hakusho, where there's a trans character, like in the later episodes too.
Oh yes.
That like is trans, identifies as a woman, but beats some ass like a fucking dude. And you hear Yusuke Urameshi being like, "Hey, don't be a half dude, be a full dude.
If you're gonna be a dude, be a dude.
Yeah, if you're gonna be a man, be a full man." Which is so like stupid. It's so just stupid. It's just like, hey, I see that you're being bullied for something that you clearly identify as. Just choose to not do that. Which is like the stupidest fucking writing. Like, somebody, you're telling me, you're writing in a character that enjoys being belittled for who they are. It doesn't make sense. Like, I don't get how, like, there were trans people for millennia, right? For as long as there have been people, there have been gays and trans people, right? And you're telling me that we couldn't figure out a way to write these people in until 20 years ago. That is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. The super common trait, not even a trope. I almost said trope. Writing trope. That's not even right. It's just, it's nature.
They haven't gotten it right.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
They write fucking the pedophile from Hunter x Hunter better than they do the one trans character in Fruits Basket. Which doesn't make fucking sense. That's like the one bone to pick I have with all of season 1 of Fruits Basket. Everything else, I'll cry forever.
This remake is 2019 compared to the original 2001, and we've had a problem since years prior.
Well, from what I read on the background of this storytelling is that in the first iteration of the anime, the author did not have much say. In this one, it's completely different because he did have a lot. He did have a lot more hands-on on the storytelling.
He was a co-producer.
Yeah, in the story. So I don't know what the first iteration of the anime was. I don't want to watch it because this is such a gem. But yes, if you want to pick a bone, that would be the perfect bone to pick. Because now with the new information, Rachel, that you just heard about the Japanese current law.
It's 2019.
It's absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
But that's current law. Like, they are, like, current in 2021 Japanese law for trans citizens. They are working off of something that was drafted in 1961.
That's so shitty, dude. It's like 40, 50 years ago. Like,
yeah, imagine, like, even in America, imagine living off of what somebody said 50 years ago.
And we're still living some of that shit. What the fuck?
This makes me not want to finish these seasons, but I did anyways.
But anyways, do we have anything more to say about 2019 Fruits Baskets, guys?
Season 1.
Season 1?
I think it's really good. Ignore everything about Ritsu.
Don't read his Twitter because he bashed on it, Drew, in general.
Honestly,
how many episodes were you into this when you bashed on it?
I was like, on episode 17, I'm really big on trans rights. Like, sorry, not sorry. Like,
you shouldn't be sorry.
Yeah, not sorry.
Don't be sorry,
like,
yeah.
That shit pissed me the fuck off. Because I'm like I'm describing, like, halfway through the anime, I have these huge emotional upheavals about, like, the grandpa slapping his grandson, over calling Toru a slut, which I'm just like, yeah, fucking slap the slut shamer. Like, that's totally what I'm about. To, like, 7-8 episodes later to being like, you did the trans girl like that? That's what you did?
After all this progressive writing?
Yeah. Like, all these progressive female and gay writing tropes, you're gonna be like, nah. I'm gonna pick a bone with the trans woman. That was so fucked up for me. I was just like...
And it's so weird how they make it very small. A very small thing. In this anime, she's very not
because they try to put a band-aid.
She's very hush-hush.
And that's what I was trying to say. Like, the anime is trying to give you, like, a good Band-Aid on it with Toru's point of view, but it does
like, you're a girl. You're beautiful.
But
they'll express it.
They'll make the cousin fucking more accessible than they will the trans writing. Mm-hmm. They will write two cousins trying to fuck each other better than they will one trans character just trying to be comfortable in her own kimono.
Because she rarely makes a stance in general. In this whole anime, season 1, 2, and 3, it's very rarely talked about. But we get a feel of her in season 1.
Okay, so that was Fruits Basket Season 1 to 2019. Thank you, Rachel. Do we have anything else? Should we go into the Nerd Down?
Nerd Down.
I don't even know what that means.
Nerd Down.
Nerd Down.
And that was episode 63 of Between Nerds Podcast. Thank you for listening to our discussion on Season 1 of Fruits Baskets. Miss Rachel, all of them. Yves, all of them.
Rachel Yves, thank you.
Rachel Yves.
Get it right for next time.
I'm sorry.
I would like to extend the invitation to talk about Season 2 in about 3 weeks. Would that be okay with you?
Yes, I will gladly take that invitation. Thank you.
I'm basically just looking for an excuse to watch Season 2.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Before I ruin it for them.
Please don't spoil anything for me.
I won't.
We really love this episode.
It's great. I think the discussion makes it that much more better because, like, yes, it has its gripes, but it's more fun to talk about it because, like, some of our best episodes have been the ones that are like they're straight shooting. They have bones to pick, but once you sit down, have a drink with somebody, and really try to break it down, that makes it that much better.
I don't think I've ever seen you so aggressive on anything except this episode or this whole breakdown.
He gets aggressive.
I'm very aggressive on trans rights.
He gets
So I was like, I'm about this.
In progressive writing, he does, and I agree with him, but he does wants to pick a bone with him because he has a voice now with the podcast. So
I'm about this. We're about activating everything.
No, absolutely.
Activists, yes.
And honestly, if we're not gonna beat around the bush so much, I would like to announce our last month's winner for the hashtag Diabetic Nerds. Please, Drew, would you mind rolling the relay for me, please?
Okay, Miss Rachel, you see the random number generator on my screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I have 10 entries up on my screen. I'm gonna roll it. Here we go. Who is the winner of...
Robbie
Quintella.
Thank you, Roby, for using hashtag Diabetic Nerds in an original tweet. He did use a tweet, and you are the winner of our September giveaway.
Woo! He was our last guest on our episode of Yu Yu Hakusho, which went great. Rachel, you did so great this episode. You did not die halfway through.
Thank you.
I apologize.
And you're also not winning anything. Sorry, Rachel.
I already won. It's okay. I won Takura.
You already won. But next episode, we should be getting into the new hype. Almost 20 year ago pop culture phenomenon, The Matrix, which is a animated version, a Japanese studio animated version of the first iterations of The Matrix, as in the canonical.
We're going to be watching Animatrix.
Yes,
the hour and 40-minute long amalgamation of 9 separate short anime original films that are made to incorporate the canon of the Matrix trilogy.
Correct. And we're going to be also doing a double feature almost. I don't know if we're going to do it in the same episode or we're going to just break it under the Nerd Down.
I think we're good enough to do it as a double feature.
Okay.
I think so. And I think what we're talking about is because the Animatrix is a Japaneseified style amalgamation
of American pop culture
of an American film like The Matrix. We're going to be watching and discussing Star Wars Visions.
It blends so well.
That's a great decision. It blends perfectly, to be honest. And like just from a management point, it's really easy to watch an hour and 40-minute movie and 6 20-minute
Episodes.
short episodes.
Correct. I feel like that's going to be a lot of fun. Please, again, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, at Between Nerds. Give us a shout out at Gmail, at our Gmail, which is betweennerdspodcast@gmail.com. Give us any suggestions, any hate mail, anything. Anything.
And if you want to win free anime shit like Mr. Roby Quintela, please use hashtag Tits for Nerds in the original Instagram or tweet, and you can be entered into our October giveaway.
Commemorating all the breast cancer awareness for this month. We are, I believe, done with guests for this month. Miss Rachel, we're going to be having you in 3 weeks. That means she's going to be here for November.
Well, I was thinking maybe we could invite Roby back in 2 weeks if he's available for season 2 of Yu Yu Hakusho.
Okay.
That's just because after we talk about the Animatrix and after we talk about Star Wars Visions, season 2 of Yu Yu Hakusho is such like a monolith in the anime industry, like the what's it called, the Dark Spirit Saga, Miss Rachel? You watch anime.
The Dark Tournament?
The Dark Tournament Saga. Thank you very much.
Like, are you talking about
Demons.
like Yu-Gi-Oh? I don't
No,
You don't know Yu Yu Hakusho?
It's been very long since I've seen it. On Toonami?
Oh, well, you should totally follow us on all
Yeah, I
of our
was like, I'm gonna
podcasting
rewatch.
platforms to
So
listen.
thank you, I'll rewatch.
Definitely. And I don't have any. Do you have anything plugs? Do you have anything else to say? Do you want anybody to hear whatever you have to say, Miss Rachel? No?
No
Okay.
social media plugs, Twitter, Instagram, anything?
No? Okay, don't follow Miss Rachel on Instagram or Twitter, but thank you very much, guys.
This has been Between
Nerds.